Big Sills. You got it, Twits. That's right. Big Sills. Appreciate you all coming aboard. Man, hey, I got to tell you, man, the pictures that my family are sending me from back east um, with the wildfires that are going on. Tone and I were just talking, man. It's like Armageddon. And I see that out in the West Coast all the time. You know, they get these fires, and then what happens, though, at least back east, you know, you don't have the mountains like where I'm from. What happens is then you get the rains, the flash flooding, then you get the mudslides. So I was looking at pictures of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge and like the George and the Brooklyn Bridge. Dude, it seriously, it looks like something out of Armageddon. Unbelievable stuff, man. So air quality not very good, especially with the population that we have in the New England area and in the East Coast, man. Can't be good air quality. So hopefully you're taking care of yourselves and having some fun here. Stay indoors. You can just listen to Big Sills here. So ton of stuff to get to. I want to start the program out by doing this. You know, we usually don't get Niner into a little, what is it, hour two usually? Looks like Blade Runner. Hungry, exact. It does look like Blade Runner. By the way, dude, you mentioned one of my favorite movies of all time. God, I love Blade Runner. Man, I love that movie. I do, but I love any Ridley Scott movie. He's one of my favorite directors. I'm one of those sci-fi guys. So I'm sci-fi. I love all those Mars movies. People hated the movie The Martian. I actually like that kind of. I don't know. I'm a big sci-fi guy. Yeah, hey, the 1980s movie JM. What's that movie with Snake Plissken? What is it? Escape from an L.A. Hey, right. Ridley Scott is a weirdo, but I love it, dude. The guy he made Gladiator too, man. One of my favorite directors of all time. I like a guy that are people that are a little eccentric. I like that stuff, man. Yeah, but not in reality, right? You're like, hey, yeah, Sills, I like it in the movies, but not going across the bridge. Hey, it's bad enough I got to pay $5 to go across the bridge. I at least want to be able to breathe going. Escape from L.A. and New York. JM, those are good movies, man. I do. I like Snake Plissken. Dude, maybe that should have been my radio name, Snake Plissken. Man, I like that, man. I love that name, Snake Plissken. Hey, you have to play. Hey, and then he has to play a game of basketball like he's Larry Bird to save his life. I'm like, holy shit, man. This guy's playing like Bird. All good. All right. May I interest you in something? Eagle fans, may I interest you in something? Trading deadline comes. Would you give the 49ers the 4th round pick or a 3rd round pick for Trey Lance to back up Jalen Hurts? He fits the system more than Mariota does. Hey, can I tell you why I would do that? Because he's got a higher value than Mariota. And some would be knocking on your door in the offseason for him. Wait a minute. Wait, before you say no, hang on. He's got more value. You get into the offseason, Eagles win the Super Bowl, you might get a 2nd round pick for him. I'm looking to give you as much equity and ability to keep the team around Jalen Hurts as possible. Remember what I told you. Every single move. This is not about Trey Lance. This is about keeping talented people around Jalen Hurts. Again, you're looking micro instead of macro here. Okay? You're not looking at it. You're looking at it in the now. That's right, Greasy. It's called horse trading. I think Howie's the greatest at it. Hey, you want to increase your value? If I'm Trey Lance, So you think going to Miami and backing up Tua is going to be something that is going to help him? Maybe. Maybe. Because he will probably get a shot. He'll probably get a shot down there if Tua gets injured, which he most likely will. But if he goes to a loser organization, your value is going to decrease and keep continuing to decrease. What's the one thing we've learned about Howie Roseman and what he does for people that come to the Eagles? He increases their value. If I am a free agent or I am a wounded free agent, I'm coming to Philly. And guess what? I will do something that people used to do years ago in New England and take the Tom Brady / Jalen Hurts discount. Don't you see it? It's one of the best landing spots for people that want to increase their market value. Every single player that Howie Roseman picked up last year increased their market value. And you won games, and you got to the NFC Championship game and won it, and you got to the Super Bowl, and you got about 10 minutes away from winning it. Don't you see that? Going to the Cardinals doesn't help Trey Lance. Going to the Bears doesn't help Trey Lance. Going to the Eagles does. This is why everyone's like, hey, this is going to come down to money for DeAndre Hopkins. Probably. You got to figure out what he wants. Do you want to put a bow on your career and put a Super Bowl on it and go to Philly and be the number 3 guy? Or do you want to chase the bag of money like Adamic and Sue? See, the difference there is Sue's got a ring. He's got a ring. Danny, I could see why Lance would want to come here, but no, we don't need him. I didn't say you needed him, Barbara. The Eagles could use him. No, Barbara, you don't need. Hey, Barbara, you know what's really crazy? There used to be a line that the San Antonio Spurs had. You know what that was? You know, we look at everyone, but not everyone can play here. That's kind of what's in Philly. Just saying, hey, they play the same way. They have the same skill set. This guy is a high draft choice. And it could be something that the Eagles could use in the offseason to get another high draft choice. If you win the Super Bowl and he backs up Jalen Hurts, you're going to get a 2 for him. And you gave the Niners a 4 for him. I'm looking like horse trading, like Greasy said. I don't give a shit really about Trey Lance. I care about getting draft choices to keep the team around Jalen Hurts and to keep as many great players and to pursue as many great players as I can. Don't look at it like that. Look at it like what you can get for a player. Look at all the compensation picks you're going to get in the 2024 draft because of all the free agent moves you made. Because of the value that they brought to the team once they went out in the free agent market. That's a coup. That's a coup. All right. I want to throw this out now before we get to the topics. And our topics are about Sean Desai and something on the schedule. Dalvin Cook to the Dallas Cowboys is a real thing. And I want to see how many people believe that Dalvin Cook, in your eyes, is still an elite running back. I'm not going to say it yet. I want to see what folks say. Would he help the Dallas Cowboys win a Super Bowl? How many people believe that Dalvin Cook, okay, has anything left in the tank? And by the way, I have the numbers. It's being reported that the Vikings will cut him tomorrow and will make him a free agent. Philly 559 says no. Cody says no. Who's better, Cook or Saquon? Dalvin Cook. His tread is barely up to, okay, Dalvin Cook is already 28. He's 27, actually. Okay, well, let's take a look at that. Here's Dalvin Cook by the numbers in the last 6 years. He's played 73 ball games. Pretty good number. Last year, he had 1282. Do you want to hear? No, excuse me. Do you want to hear something about a guy who's been in the league 6 years? He's averaged 200 carries a year. That's not a lot. He's averaged 200 carries, actually to the point 213. He's averaged 213 carries in 6 years of play. I don't believe that's a lot. 1282 in carries. He's under 1,500 carries. We're not talking about Derrick Henry here. I'm not talking about Derrick Henry. That's not a lot. 4 straight years of 1,000 yards, 6,000 rushing yards in his career. He's averaging 1,000 yards a year ever since he's been an NFL player. He's 27 years old. 47 touchdowns in that 6 years. 4.7 yards a carry in his entire 6-year NFL career. Now, here's where some of you say you're starting to see a decline. In 2020, he averaged 5 yards a carry. 21, 4.7. And in 22, 4.4. That could be numerous things. Remember, there was a coaching change in there too, so there could be a philosophy change. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's losing it. There was a head coaching change. He went from a defensive-minded coach to an offensive-minded coach. Remember something. 20 and 21, he was under Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer wants to run the ball, not throw the ball. And in 2022, the new head football coach wants to throw the ball, not run the ball. So when people go, well, that's a philosophy change. It's a directional change because the mentality was changed in the offensive huddle. You got an offensive-minded coach in the building now. So to sit there and say, well, his yards per carry went down, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the player. That could mean just by the way you're using the player too. Okay? I don't know. I like the comparison. Saquon Barkley and Dalvin Cook. I see it. I see they're kind of the same. Well, whatever you think of Dalvin Cook, you think of Saquon Barkley, I probably would think the same thing of both guys. I think Dalvin Cook's a special back. I think Saquon Barkley's a special back. Here's something else. 221 receptions. Could help the Cowboys a lot. 1,791 in receiving yards in 6 years. That's not bad. I mean, highest year he had 53 in 2019. Again, you know why? That's Mike Zimmer wanting to get the ball to a running back. And last year he had 39. That's more getting the ball down the field because of the coach, in my opinion. I still think Dalvin Cook is elite. I still think he's an elite back and is going to help somebody. It could be the Broncos. It could be the Bills, the Dolphins. And I believe it's going to be the Cowboys. You put Dalvin Cook in the backfield, the Eagles are going to have a problem. And here's why the Cowboys are smart to sign him. The Cowboys are smart to give him and overpay this guy. Why? What's the one thing that you're going to have a problem with in Philadelphia that you've had for 2 years? Stopping the run. Even with the second best defense in the NFL last year, you couldn't stop the run. This is a kryptonite to the Eagle defense. It's not throwing the ball against them. You had great sacks last year and your corners. But no matter what you guys post, no matter what you guys say, you have been mediocre in stopping the run. And that will be challenged again in the first quarter poll of the season. You could sit here and say all your shit and all your So-called fantasy comments. You couldn't stop the run the last 2 years. You couldn't. You were below average. Okay? You couldn't stop it. So you go out and you get a back like this with a better O-line, more skilled. Well, I can't say that because the wide receiving core in Minnesota has been pretty formidable. Now, Dak Prescott and Kirk Cousins, how many times have we said, aren't they the same kind of dude? He's probably going to the Dolphins. Why would he go to the Dolphins when his best way of getting to a Super Bowl is through the NFC? You guys are missing this. Now, the one factor about him potentially going to the AFC would be there's better quarterbacks there. So what if he goes to Buffalo, like you say, with Josh Allen? Holy cow. Josh Allen would win the Super Bowl. He could. How about if he goes, well, they got NTN. How about NTN and Dalvin Cook? Dalvin Cook played at Florida State. What if he goes to Jacksonville? Dalvin Cook and NTN and that offense back there with all the things that they got now with Ridley and the way Lawrence is playing, Jacksonville would be in the AFC Championship game. How about if the Lions sign him? He's going to get an opportunity to go where he wants. What if Kansas City signs him? Now, who do you think is more of a factor in helping a team win a Super Bowl? DeAndre Hopkins or Dalvin Cook? You know what's funny? Think about this question before you answer it. Okay? Think about this question before you answer it. People diminish the running back position. The Eagles are a running team. Their formula is through the run game. That's who they are, no matter how many great Y's and Z's you have. Your football team is built through the run game. Who's going to help you win a Super Bowl? I know, Callie, I know who Dalvin Cook is. I know everyone from the state of Florida. We all help recruit him. I know who he is. I know what he is. Hey, how about this one? Don't be shocked. Because he is from Miami, that Lamar Jackson recruits him to Jacksonville. You put Dalvin Cook with Odell Beckham Jr., the kid they drafted, and Dalvin Cook. The Baltimore Ravens, and plus their tight end, the Baltimore Ravens are a player. More so than they already are. You put Dalvin Cook in Baltimore, with that guy running the ball and the other guy running the ball, they'll win 14 games up there. Now, again, let me backpedal on that because their defense is not what that defense was when they won all them games a couple years ago. So I don't believe that defense is that good and good enough to win that many games, but they can win 12 games. They can win some ball games there. So I don't think they have a good enough defense, and especially at the cornerback position. And I don't really know their edge rushers are all that hot. Dalvin Cook, this is a big deal here. These are great numbers. And by the way, I don't think he has a lot of tread on him. You think a guy with 1,282 carries over 6 years is a lot? I don't think 200 carries a year is a lot. We're not talking about Derrick Henry carries. It is so early in the offseason. And as cheap as the Eagles' running back room is, could the Eagles be a real player for Cook? Dude, let me say this to you, man. If the Philadelphia Eagles signed Dalvin Cook, it would be like what they missed out on by getting Bijan Robinson. This guy is an elite back. You don't have anything elite back there. You have nothing elite. You have people who said these guys – can I tell you the only thing you really have? Well, see, DeAndre Swift and Dalvin Cook would be a force. That would be a force if you had those guys. What you have, again, is promise in the backfield. You don't have an actual star player. And probably would cost you $5 million. Would you pay $5 million to put Dalvin Cook in your backfield? Sway goes, Cap. You got $13 million right now, cap space. You got the money, guy. What are you talking about? Okay? Shooter goes, I miss the old Sills. Not kissing the Eagle. When do I kiss the Eagles' ass? And by the way, what do you want me to say? They suck? They just came off a Super Bowl. See, that's the guy that wants me to still say they suck. They don't suck. They're doing everything right. When they start going south, don't worry, Hoss. I'm the first to hit on it. And especially if they make a stupid move. Swift is elite. Really? That's why they traded him and drafted a running back. And he's only 26. Sure. Yeah, okay, Sway. Why, he's elite now because he's an Eagle? That's a lie. You don't trade elite players like that unless you're a dumbass like Peterson was when he traded A.J. Brown away. That's dumb. Over $6 million? Hey, cost him his job. See, that's usually what happens when you do dumb moves. Cost you your job. And that was a dumb move. And the general manager of the Titans is out because they got rid of A.J. Brown. Dumb. 25-year-old wideout who's productive like that and underutilized. That's why you got fired, guy. Okay, watch. Sure. Watch this, though. Sway goes, okay, watch. Here's what I say about Dalvin Cook. He is elite. Watch. Oh, no. Get his game film out. See, here's Sway. This is DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny. This is their resume. Here's Dalvin Cook's. And by the way, Dalvin Cook is younger than Penny. Who's had a better career? He hasn't run the ball that much. You put Dalvin Cook in the Philadelphia Eagle offense, they will not lose a game. You won't lose a game. That would be, hey, $5 million. Sills, would you at least kick the I'll tell you what, I have a better feel about kicking the tires on Dalvin Cook than DeAndre Hopkins. You put Dalvin Cook, because I don't believe Dalvin Cook is a 270 carry back, nor would I want him to be. But you put him back there with DeAndre Hopkins, you're talking about an elite here's where we go here with, again, tandems. How many players on the Eagle team do they have the best player at that position? Best right offensive tackle, best center. That's it. But you start doing duos. Dude, it's got to be the best corner duo. Wide receiver duo with tight end. Best offensive line, especially the best offensive tackles. Look at all the duos that they have. Dude, the Eagles have a load of duos on that team that no team in the league has. Nobody in the NFL has as many great duos as the Philadelphia Eagles do. They're everywhere. They're pass-catching duo. Is there a better pass-catching tight end and wide receiver combination in the league? I'm trying to think. Kansas City, no. Cincinnati, no. I don't know who the tight end is. Buffalo, no. Baltimore, no. Miami, kind of. Is there any place else? '49ers, Kittle, Ayuk, and Debo. I think AJ's better than Debo, and I think Devontae's better than Ayuk. Kittle, might be a notch above Goddard, but it still goes to the Eagles. Still goes to the Eagles. There's not a better pass-catching combination of tight end wide receivers in the NFL next to the Philadelphia Eagles. There's nobody. You put Dalvin Cook back there at $5 million a year. I think you could pay him that, and he would take that. Again, Dalvin Cook is in a position right now where he's got to think about longevity, rings, and money. Here, this is a really great exercise here. What gives Dalvin Cook these three to consummate a deal? Help him in longevity, O-line, philosophy of investing in the O-line. You see, when you're a running back, you want an organization to constantly be investing in the O-line. The Eagles have done that for 25 years. The Eagles invest in two places, D-line, O-line. That's been a staple of what they are and who they go after an eyeball every year. Every year, it's D-line, O-line, D-line, O-line, D-line, O-line. 1 through 3 picks. I'm talking rounds. That's been something and a staple for 25 years. If you're a running back, you want to see that. So it gives them the ability to have longevity. How about winning? Well, the Eagles in the last 7 years have gone to 6 years have gone to 2 NFC title games, won a Super Bowl, a quarter away from winning the Super Bowl. Has there been another team in the NFC over the last 6 years that has had more success when it comes to winning than them? And I mean critical winning. Division titles, conference championship games. Let me see. That'd be no. So, what does Miami give you? An instability at quarterback. Okay. A pretty decent O-line. Good wideouts and a pretty fair defense. Tougher road to the Super Bowls through the AFC, though. Got to think of all those things. And now, here's something to think about. When you say Miami, hey, Florida, tax-free state. Philadelphia, not. Okay, you got to pay your taxes, but in Florida, you get to keep more of your money. That's a factor. That's why very few people want to play in California. And you don't see a lot of free agents going to California. Because why? They take half your money. Most free agents don't go. And that'd be something that C.J. Gardner-Johnson's got to be pissed off about too. Because you got to pay a ton of taxes because of the unions up in Detroit. Trust me when I tell you. Gets to go home, Miami. Do you want to go to a place where you're not stable at quarterback? Miami Dolphins are not stable at quarterback. Shit, the Miami Dolphins haven't been stable at quarterback since Dan Marino. You want to go to that environment? What if Tua gets knocked out? Where are you going then? Can't get Lamar. He signed. You're going to go into the draft? And so Dalvin Cook is going to play in Miami with a rookie quarterback next year if Tua has to retire. I'm not interested in that. I could go to some place like Philadelphia and I could win ball games with those guys for the next 5 years of my career, maybe get myself a gold jacket playing in Philadelphia. See, you got to put it's not just about, hey, no, I won't lie. Some guys, it is just about chasing a bag of money. Sometimes it is. We have, see, Barb goes like this. We have a solid rotation. Who the hell wants to be solid? Who wants to be solid? Hey, so you're telling me you could get Dalvin Cook for $5 million instead of paying Miles Sanders $7 million? Holy shit. You mean to tell me I would have gotten a better player by far than Miles Sanders, who's not on a one-year wonder deal in Carolina? You got to wonder if that was a one-year deal where he put up all them yards. You imagine Dalvin Cook behind that old line, he'd be the NFL's leading rusher. I think they should explore it. If I were the Eagles, I would explore him. Because what else? What's the number one thing, Tone, we say all the time? How do you get less carries for Jalen? You sign Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's going to take those. And here, instead of having 167 carries, he has 125 carries, same yards, but 10 yards a carry. That's what you're looking at doing. You're not looking at 167. He was on, you understand that Jalen Hurts was on pace for more rushing attempts this year than he was the year previous. He was on pace for more rushing attempts. He ended up the season 167. Jalen Hurts would have had 200 carries if he didn't get hurt. May have been in the best interest that he did get hurt because it stopped him from having to take more punishment in the run game. He was on pace for 200 carries. Almost as many carries as Sanders. Is that what you're looking for? I thought we were trying to get away from that. Hurts was about to put up starting running back numbers before he got hurt, Sills. That's right. You know what it would have been? It would have been like 900 yards, 215 carries, 13 touchdowns. I don't want that. Here's what I want. I want to have 138 carries, 700 yards at 10 yards a carry, 7-8 touchdowns. And get this, because they're so in fear of the fact of what you got behind them. This is why I was so Bijan Robinson heavy. I'm looking, you know what's funny? Some of you get it in here. This is what I was talking about with Trey Lance. This wasn't about Trey Lance. This was about extending the career of Jalen Hurts and maybe using him as horse trading to get more picks in the offseason and having a quality backup that plays kind of a similar role in his arsenal and his game that the starting quarterback does. How many people came on this show like Tony Dungy and Bruce Arians and say, you got to have a backup quarterback that mimics the starter if you're going to go dual threat. Mariota kind of does that. Trey Lance is that. But hey, because you hate the 49ers and some of you are so dumb you can't see through it, but okay. And again, you think I'm doing Dalvin Cook conversation just for shits and giggles? It completely makes sense. So let me ask you this. So the Philadelphia Eagles, they don't put a premium on running backs. Well, then you're going to get your quarterback killed. If you don't get a back this year or a combination of backs that have 250 carries, he won't play 17 games this year. And can I tell you this year? Because I do think the Cowboys are going to be a player, and I do think the 49ers and potentially Seattle. If you lose, and you're playing a tough schedule, you may get some injuries. You are not going to go through this year like you have the last 2 years injury-free. Get over that. That's not happening. That is just luck. That ain't happening. Okay? If he misses a couple of those games with the schedule that you play, and by the way, I picked out a couple games this year in the schedule. I think there's 9 of them that I think you're going to have a tough time with. You may lose home field advantage and have to go to San Francisco to play in the NFC title game or go to Dallas. Shonsky goes, how many full seasons has Cook played in? I'll wait. How many full seasons has Jalen Hurts played in? I'll wait. You make it sound like your quarterback has been healthy the last 2 years. He hasn't. He's missed ball games. I'll wait. Apply that also to your QB. Here. And get this. So now you're talking about health here with Dalvin Cook. Let's see here. Dalvin Cook stats. Last 4 years in a row, 1,000 yards. Okay? Let's see. The first year, he played in only 4 games and 4 starts in 17. In 18, he missed 5 games. In 19, he missed 2. In 20, he missed 2. In 21, he missed 3. Last year, he missed none as he got older. He missed none. 73 games, 72 starts, unlike that idiot you got in the backfield and Rashad Penny, who's got 2 starts a year. And you guys keep telling me 6 yards a carry. Whatever. Let's look at the production, even with missing time. 1173, 1,200 yards, 1557, 1135 in the last 4 years. 5 yards a carry, 4.7 a carry, 4.5 a carry. Shut up. Stupid. Stupid. He's productive. I'll take my chances with Cook over Penny. You kidding me? Penny? Dalvin Cook? You got to be kidding me. Rashad Penny won't get through the first 4 games. Okay? I love how all of a sudden Rashad Penny turns into Shady McCoy because he's wearing Birds green. Stupidity at its highest. Kenneth Gainwell is an average player. DeAndre Swift is a unicorn player, and I like him. I like him a lot. Okay? I like him next to Dalvin Cook. I don't care what anybody says. I think that guy's a special ball player. And I'll make this point to you. If he goes to Dallas, they will be in the NFC title game. Okay? He's a better running back than Ezekiel Elliott ever was. He's a better back than Zeke ever was. Zeke Elliott was not a better running back than Dalvin Cook. He wasn't ever. In his entire career, was he ever better than Dalvin Cook? Look at the numbers. Look at the consistency. And they're the same age. All of a sudden, Penny's all world. I know, man. All of a sudden, in the Eagle Eyes, Penny's all world. And the guy was a colossal disaster and failure in Seattle. Now, because he's wearing Birds green, he's Brian Westbrook. Gotta give it. You gotta stop, dog. Big Sales, how can you say that Cook is way better than Penny? But the Eagles don't see that because the Eagles went cheap and signed Penny for nothing. And he wasn't available at the time. That's why. Timing, my friend. Okay? Timing. That's dumb. This guy's got 6,000 rushing yards on less than 1,500 carries. Are you... I'm going to move on to the topics because 80% of you are idiots here today. Are you under the notion that you have a better running backs or whatever than what Dalvin Cook could do for you? I'm not going to debate it any longer because that's a dumb conversation. And trust me, somebody on WIP or somebody on the Fanatic will definitely kiss your ass on that. Not here. We're moving on. You are stupid. Okay? To think that. You don't have a running back in that. How about this? The only running back that you've ever had that was better than this guy, I would say this to you. Let me double check that before I say this. He's not better than Brian Westbrook. Shady McCoy stats. No. He got a long way to go before it. No, he's not. 11,000 rushing yards for Shady. I didn't realize he had that high number. Wow. It's a conversation for Hall of Fame stuff. Penny hasn't taken a damn snap, and fans are already falling on the sword for him. I know, isn't it crazy to see that, man? I mean, it's just stupid, man. It's just stupid conversation. You've had two running backs in 25 years that are better than this guy. McCoy and Westbrook. The rest of them, okay? These are the two best wide receivers that you've had at one time on a football team in the history of the team. In the history of the team, these are the two best wideouts at one time. Don't start talking like you guys have been doing this forever, because now you sound like Patriot fan. Hey, we're one of the greatest organizations. No, you're not. You've had a great 20 years. Now you're back to who you are. You notice that, right? The Patriots are back to being the Patriots again. This is who the Patriots have been their entire existence. They had a 20-year window where they were good because of Brady. But now they're back to being the Patriots. They're the Patriots. Couple years good, couple years bad. Sneak into the playoffs. Have an unbelievable year with Tony Eason or with Bledsoe. Get some luck, go back to being normal again. Strike gold and hit Brady. Your chances of striking gold again and hitting Brady are nil. Okay? Everyone knows Penny can't stay healthy, and now he's better than Cook. JH, I know, right? Oh, man. Hey, unbelievable, man. It's mind-numbing. And figure this out. You're telling me you don't think Dalvin Cook could help preserve Jalen Hurts? If anything, you do it to preserve him. Hey, think about this. Telling everyone, think about this. If you just line Dalvin Cook up like this and you're a defensive coordinator, I've got to take care of Devontae, AJ, Goddard, maybe Swift, and I got to take care of Cook sitting there. I put Rashad Penny or Kenneth Gainwell back there. They're the last guy on my concern list. Dalvin Cook is someone because why? Your O-line. You got a dominant O-line. I got to worry about stopping the run first. With that guy back there, my number one concern, if I'm a D coordinator with an elite back like that, and with the skill set that Jalen has in open field, I got to stop the run. The passing game, those wideouts would be wide open. Dallas Goedert will have 1,500 yards if you sign Dalvin Cook. Because D coordinators don't you get it? There's not enough talent in the NFC to cover all your pieces now. Adding another piece? What team has the ability to cover the guys now? What team? You understand? You're trying to get as many mismatches in games with low percentage turnover plays. Dalvin Cook creates an even bigger nightmare. $5 million. Even Spagnuolo in Kansas City couldn't defend that. He would never be able to defend that. He doesn't have enough pieces to do it. Your running back, your tight end, or Swift. Can you imagine Swift in the screen game with Cook and Goddard and Jalen? He might have 70 catches. How do you see that? And get this, you're right. You're not asking him to carry the ball 200 times anymore. You're asking him to do 800 yards, 900 yards, 180 carries, and he has 5 yards of carry again. And you're paying him $5 million, $2 million less than Miles Sanders got in Carolina. This is what I talk about horse trading. This is kind of why I started out with Trey Lance, to see where you guys are, but you don't see that. You think because you have a 90-man roster now that everybody on that roster in Philadelphia are the best players at their position? They're not. You have the best roster in the NFL again. It's going to be a conversation we're going to have here in a second about your defense, my concerns with Desai, but you're missing it. And some will turn around and go, Sills, but look at what Kansas City did with Pacheco, a 7th-round pick. You don't have Patrick Mahomes. Jalen Hurts is not going to sit back and win an NFL football game, not running the ball at all in any way, shape, or form, and throwing for 450 yards. He's not. And again, to Tone's point, and what some of you said too, Mahomes is not going to do what Jalen Hurts does by running the ball 17 times for 90 yards and throwing for 350 yards. He's not doing that either. Absolutely. I'm going to start doing that from now on because it's unfair to Jalen because every time I bring up Mahomes, it's unfair because that's a different skill set. Actually, if you think about it, whatever, Batman, only in Philly. Jalen Hurts is a top 3 passer, only in Philly. Jalen has almost the same kind of skill on his approach of the game that Mahomes has on his approach of the game. It's just different. It's just different. That's all it is. It's just different. And what you guys don't like is that when you say he's not Mahomes, who gives a shit? Who cares? I get so panty bent over that. Okay? Batman goes, you love Kirk Cousins, right? I know. I don't know if I love Kirk Cousins. I know Justin Jefferson does. He's going to make $30 million a year because of Kirk Cousins. I would think. How about this, Batman? Kirk Cousins probably is one of the most important reasons why Justin Jefferson's going to make $30 million a year. The guy you passed on will be the highest paid wideout and non-position player probably in the next 4 months. Congratulations to you. You passed on a guy who's going to be the highest position player in the league. And you know who made him that way? Kirk Cousins. So whether I love him or not, I know one player who does. Justin Jefferson loves him. Marshall, that's right. Just different styles. That's all it is. Just different styles. You could say all the shit you want about Cousins. Justin Jefferson loves him. Has to. Most yards by a wide receiver. Him and Randy Moss. His first couple of years in the league. I think he has the record for the most yards in NFL history for the years he's been in the league. Kirk Cousins is throwing the ball. Okay? Charlie Gardner is not in Dalvin Cook's league. Not in his league. All right. Let's move on to the topics because a guy like Dalvin Cook and half the room and half the people watching don't want Dalvin Cook. For $5 million. I've become a better man because you know why? My daughter and my wife give me a ton of shit. And I'm learning to be more patient, Tone. You know, I'm trying. I'm not a very patient man. But and by the way, we're not talking about an $11 million running back here. We're not talking about spending $12, $13 million. It's very affordable. You got $13 million right now in cap space. No, not me. I don't want any of it. I know. He sucks. He's got nothing on the treads. You're trying hey, man, I'm trying. He's got nothing on the treads. I go, this guy doesn't have 1,500 carries in 6 years. What are you talking about? He only carries the ball 200 times a year. It's not like he carries the ball 360 times a year like Derrick Henry does. I thought he carried the ball more, actually. I thought he carried the ball more. I really did. I thought he was a 250 a year guy. He's not. Just oh man. All right, let me get into this now. Some of you might want to take the rest of the day off. I'll take Kenneth Gainwell. I'm sorry, Sills. I just can't believe this crowd is so all in on Penny like this. Dude, Rashad Penny. Here's a certainty. Death, taxes, and Penny getting hurt. Hey, here's a certainty. Death, taxes, and Penny getting hurt. I would bet everything on it. He ain't playing more than 10 games. 10 would be tops if that guy plays more than 10 games. 10 games. Death, taxes, and Penny getting hurt. Before the Eagles signed Penny, not one person wanted him on his team. I'll tell you something else, too. Here's something else to think about with what Tone's saying. Look at the guys that are out there in the open market right now. Kareem Hunt, Ezekiel Elliott, soon to be Dalvin Cook. Who do you think is going to get swallowed up first? The guy who's still productive. Revisionist history, like you always say. That's right. The Eagle fans like to change the narrative. Everyone hates Wentz now. You're liars. But wait, you then have the balls to tell me that I'm flip-flopping. And all of you have flip-flopped. Every single person in here that watches this has flip-flopped. Myself, Tone, Xander, every show that's on our network, every radio show that's in Philadelphia, flip-flopped on Wentz. But not you, because you're trying to rewrite history. It's okay because it's human nature. You don't want to admit your failure, and you don't want to admit you were wrong. Are we going to do this with every guy? I'm not. Rashad Penny is one thing. Again, he is a candidate for the IR list. He's been on the IR more than he's played in NFL games. Everybody flip-flopped. Did you not flip-flop on Wentz? Did you not flip-flop on Wentz? Did you not flip-flop? Right? Did you not? You're lying if you say you didn't. Penny has to make the roster. That's right. I don't even. Dude, personally, how can you count on a guy who Seattle couldn't count on ever? You can't count. But now in Philly, he's in the garden of instant health. It's remarkably funny to listen to. Every person in here now has kind of like ripped pages out of their narrative and how they looked at Carson Wentz. Because you know why? You don't want that same shit to come on Jalen Hurts. Jalen has the same path right now as Carson Wentz. He's on the same path. I'm not saying he's going to go down like Carson. I'm saying first 3 years in the league, you thought the same thing of Carson Wentz. All of you. Every one of you. And then when he helped lead the team to the Super Bowl and win it, you thought even more of him. He finished second that year in very close MVP voting. Just like this. What's the difference? They actually won. What's the difference this time? You like the guy more? Because you found out about the other guy. That's revised history. Because now you know that the iceberg hit the Titanic. So now you jumped off the ship. And back then you didn't jump off the ship, though. You hung with him. Carson's attitude. I'm not talking about you had no question about Carson's attitude his first 3 years. No, you did not. Stop lying. You revised your history and you flip-flopped. Sills is here. He's there. He's here. No, I don't do. That's not flip-flopping. A player's performance dictates my take on them, not my take. I don't sit here like some old sports talk guy and have to hammer my point home. If a guy blows out loud and continues, I'll kill him. But if a guy gets better, I'm not going to sit here and lie and go, well, he sucks anyway. Skip Bayless does that to LeBron James. Who in their right mind would not go LeBron James or Michael Jordan are the two greatest players. I happen to disagree with that. I think Kareem's in there, but hey, that's the argument. Who in their right mind would not have that conversation and see both sides of it now? I do. And plus, just because I add the politics of LeBron in, at the end of the day, he's been an ambassador to the sport like no other. He's never been in trouble. He respects the shield. Unlike John Morant, this guy respects the shield. Tone goes, I will openly admit it. Those first few years, I was dying on the hill with Wentz. I flipped on him like a flapjack. But Tone, that's not a bad take. People change. Careers change. Like, look at Steven Strasburg. You look at Steven Strasburg and you go, man, what a talent. MVP of a World Series. This guy was a dominant arm. Looks like he's got more arm issues. May never pitch again because of nerve damage. You know what you say about Strasburg? What a shame. What a shame. Could have been a 200. By the way, no one will ever win 300 games in baseball ever again. Ever. No one's winning 300 games. So 200 is kind of the mark now. And Strasburg could have won 200 ball games. But it's funny, isn't it? Nobody talks baseball anymore unless it's local shit. But nobody talks baseball. What a shame. It's a great sport. I love it. Grew up on it. But Strasburg, you'll look at him and go, what could have been? What could have been? Seals, April 20, whatever. Yeah, so end of the day, full transparency, my dad loved Wentz. When Foles won that Super Bowl, he immediately wanted Wentz out the door. I would argue with him down why Wentz was the guy. Boy, was I wrong. Well, here's why that scenario played itself out wrong all around. The Eagles were wrong, Foles was wrong, and Wentz was wrong. Here's what should have happened. They should have traded, and follow me here, Tone. There was another situation that was almost remarkably close to this. That was in San Diego when they had Breeze and Rivers. And Breeze had already gone to a Pro Bowl. And Schottenheimer loved Breeze. But A.J. Smith had drafted Phillip Rivers. And in that organization, the general manager had more say than the head coach. Marty went 14 and 2. And they fired him because Marty wanted to run the ship more and wanted more say in personnel. The Spanos family didn't want to have that. I don't know any man that's ever been fired for winning 14 ball games. The only other guy I could compare that to is when Jimmy won the Super Bowl and Jerry fired him after he won the Super Bowl in Orlando. And he wanted to keep Breeze and he wanted to move Phillip Rivers. Rivers was a fine quarterback. I think he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. But if Breeze stays in San Diego and wins the Super Bowl, the Chargers are probably still in San Diego. Breeze was the better quarterback than Rivers. And he was right. But the organization chose wrong. The Eagles chose wrong here. You see, just because you drafted Wentz as high as you did was a determining factor in why they kept Wentz over Foles. And Foles' fault is this. Look at the places that he's played in with all the shitty organizations and all the shitty coaches. So he failed in Chicago. Well, is that a shocker? He failed in Jacksonville. Is that a shocker? He failed in other places that had other coaches who didn't know how to handle quarterbacks. Is that a shocker? No. In my opinion, the best coaching he ever had was in Philly. And he performed to that. Guy had a Pro Bowl season, all of that. JoJo goes, it was the money, Sills. Yeah, because the Eagles allowed him to go and be traded to the Jags instead of trading Wentz to the Jags. They should have traded Wentz. I'll say this, and I will die on the sword with this. If Alshon Jeffries catches that Foles pass in New Orleans, Wentz is dealt to the Jags. He's dealt. They would have dealt him because it would have been 2 consecutive NFC title games that he had put that team in and put on his back. I don't know about you, but I'm not getting off that. I don't give, hey, here's where the Patriots did this right. And the Eagles, because they drafted him so high, chose the wrong guy. Tone, think of this. So they have Drew Bledsoe on their team, do the Patriots, right? They signed him to a $117 million contract. They give him $14 million signing bonus. They draft this guy in the 6th round. And everybody is going like this. Can this guy really be who this guy is? Can this guy really be who this guy is? Can this guy, all of a sudden, Bledsoe gets hurt in that Jets game. And this guy all of a sudden turns out to start winning games. Belichick in that AFC title game put Bledsoe back in because Brady got hurt. Bledsoe wins the game. And Belichick's greatest move as an NFL head coach in New England, and this is the move that put him in the Hall of Fame. Instead of doing the Howie Roseman thing, going back with the 1st rounder, like the Eagles did, going to Wentz, he went with the 6th rounder. And he went with Brady. And the rest is history. You could have had potentially the Brady story in Philly, but you chose wrong. And how do you know? To me, you want to hear something crazy? Brady could have had the same career that Foles had. Foles shows you he had MVP-type talent and all-pro type talent. 26 touchdowns, 2 picks. It wasn't just an anomaly, that one game or that one stretch run that he had in the playoffs. He showed you he had MVP caliber talent. But it was never developed in a place that had good coaching. Okay? Now we've got someone better, so it's all good. Do you? If Nick Foles is the quarterback of that football team that you just played Kansas City with, really? I don't know about that. I don't know about that. You're preaching, Sills. My dad says the same thing all the time. If Jeffries catches the pass, Wentz is shipped again. Right? Nick Foles in that Super Bowl versus Hurts. I don't know. I don't know. One game, that guy, he beat Brady. And it was an iconic game. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That's all I'm saying. You could, okay, how about this? You could stick with Jalen. I might take Foles in that game. Okay, and again, I don't think it's a wrong take either way. But Nick Foles in a championship game? Are you really going to tell me here, Nick Foles in a playoff game or in a championship game, you wouldn't have felt comfortable and confident with him in that Super Bowl? I don't know. I can't believe. See, here you go again, revising history. That's a great take. I'm going to save that for the next one. And by the way, we haven't even gotten into our topics yet. Sean Desai, some questions I have for you about him. Then we also have 9 games on the schedule that I think are going to be very difficult. And we're going to go into those. Plus Rick Barry at 4:30. We'll talk about last night's Joker. Here's the 3 best players in the NBA. Joker, Embiid, and Giannis. I don't believe there's a debate anymore. Hour 2. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
And the big story on Action News?
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia Dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really, don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, go to left, fake 'em out. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again?
You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Hour number 2, Big Bill. Please hit the like button. Rick Barry, bottom of the hour, our resident NBA Hall of Fame analyst, will talk with us about what happens next. I think this thing's over Monday night. There I go again. Hey, why do I feel like the Miami Heat are like an NCAA basketball team that's on this Cinderella ride? And you see, the one thing about the NCAA tournament, the NCAA basketball tournament, you only have to get, it's one and done. I don't think you could sustain what the Heat are trying to do in a 7-game series in an NBA Finals. I just don't think you can. I think it's impossible for them to keep that going every night. And I think that's kind of why you see these swings on the pendulum here with the Heat. They're here one day, they're here. I don't think you can sustain that drive and that kill every single day against a more superior team. And I think that's one of the reasons that you don't see consistency with them, because they're playing a superior team with a superior player. All right. Anyway, Rick Barry, bottom of the hour. Should the Philadelphia Eagles retire Nick Foles' number 9? Yes or no? Should he be in your Ring of Honor? That'd be the old. Hey, by the way, this is Tone's topic, and I'll say this to you, Tone. Carson Wentz will never come back from that one. Hey, he'll never come back from that. He'll never come back from that one. Never come back from that one. That would kill him off. And not literally, but that would be the end of it. He oh, Jesus Christ. Now they're retiring his number. Expired you. Yes. Thank you. You think they should retire his number? Sue, yes. Bob, yes. Look at oh, okay. Hey, Tone, what do you think? Tone's dad wants his. I bet Tone's dad wants his number retired. Malcolm, yes. Yes. Can I tell you why I agree with you guys? I think they should retire his number. Yes, he's the first to win the Super Bowl. Marshall, can I tell you why he should? Okay. To me, he's kind of like Roger Maris of the Yankees. Had that one great year, one great moment. But 50, 60, 70 years, 100 years after he did that, you'll always remember what Maris did in 61. It was a shining moment that will never be forgotten by a fan base, no matter what the generation is. He did something that's generational. Players will be better than him. Players will have put better careers up than him. But he brought a community something that you've been starving for since 1960. He put the community in a place where it came together. Black, white, Jew, Gentile, Catholic, Baptist, Muslim, didn't matter. Everybody in Philadelphia celebrated in that moment. And when you get a transcendent moment like that and one player can be identified with that moment, that's why you put Foles in. Is Foles the greatest quarterback in the history of the Eagles? No, Jurgensen's even better. No, we all know that. But you know what we all know? He brought the greatest moment to Philadelphia Eagle history in a moment where people were doubting. And don't they doubt you all the time anyway in Philly? He embodies you. There is one player that embodies Philadelphia. It's Nick Foles. That's why you guys are so drawn to Jalen, because he kind of has a lot of that vibe too. You're drawn to Jalen because he kind of reminds you of what Nick did. And you hope he can, and that's why it was so kind of heart-wrenching, because if he would have crossed that finish line, he probably would have given you the greatest moment in the history of Philadelphia sports history, Jalen Hurts. Okay? I mean, there's a way of looking at how you celebrate people. It doesn't always have to be about a 20-year career. It could always be about a shining moment. And that's what Nick did. I have no problem if you define it that way. Hey, who had a better Philadelphia Eagle quarterbacking career in Philly, Wentz or Foles? Wentz did. It's not close. But who will be remembered more? Foles. Can you imagine that? Carson Wentz. This is why I think Carson Wentz fell apart also. No matter what he did in Philly, was never going to duplicate that moment. Dude, I remember the Philly special moment with Doug. And I wasn't even really covering the team then. I was like, Jesus, criminy. And then when they started airing what they said to one another, you're like, that is so iconic. Let's run it. Dude, there should be t-shirts sold at the link. Every single tailgate. Let's run it. You'd make $1 zillion off that shirt. Let's run it. I really thought I would never see an Eagles Super Bowl win in my lifetime. Brian, that's why Foles means something to you. That's why you retire his number. Because to guys, there's 1 billion Brians in Philly. Dude, you are the same as the Boston Red Sox fan and the Chicago Cub fan. You know, I talked nationally for quite a bit of years. Do you know how many people like Brian have come on my program and said, I never thought that Joe Madden would deliver a World Series title to Chicago. He has a Rocky-type story, very true to the city. Right, he's Rocky. Okay? He's Rocky. He is a real live Rocky. Knocked the champ out. Brady was Apollo Creed. Surely people have made that comparison. One fight, one moment. So makes the NFL great, unlike a 7-game series. One fight, one moment. Foles is Rocky, and Brady is Apollo Creed. Undefeated, unbeaten. Or, yeah, never beaten in his career. Foles takes him out. That's why we have a statue of Doug and Nick. Well, shit, if you have a statue of Doug and Nick, you should put a statue up. All right, I got to get to this topic. We've already hit on a shitload of stuff already, but I haven't even hit the topics yet, and I got Rick Barry at the bottom of the hour, so indulge me. By the way, before I get into the topic here with Desai, the Joker, is he a top 3 center? Wait, is he a top 10 center in the history of the NBA right now? 2-time MVP. That game last night was so insane. He's not a very good athlete, though. He's better than Ewing. Best center in the game is Jabbar. Second is Shaq. Third is probably Olajuwon. Fourth, look, is Wilt. Fifth, you count Russell as a center, he's 6'9". Magic Johnson was 6'9". I mean, probably Russell because it was the time. No, I don't think you're prisoner of the moment because I'm trying to think. Is he better than Moses Malone? I don't think so. Is he better than David Robinson? I think he's better than David Robinson. Because I don't think David Robinson was the passer that this guy is. Is he as athletic? No. He's a better shooter. He's just as good a rebounder. Joker, in my opinion, man, I think he's a top 10. Where you put him, I think it solidifies it if he wins and when he wins the NBA championship and those 2 MVPs, he'll be in a. Hey, how about this? He's one of the very few guys on the pivot that is a go-to guy. And if you think about the go-to guy, Shaq wasn't a go-to guy with 2 minutes left in the game. He is. Jabbar was. That's what separates those. Malone was. Akeem was. Because those guys had jump shots and they were great at the free throw line. That's what separates those big. Shaq was 50% from the charity stripe. Didn't really have a jump shot. This guy has it all. Okay? Completely has it all. I'll ask Rick Barry that question here in a couple minutes. All right. I wrote this down here. Let's move on here. Reason that the Eagle defense might struggle in 2023. Here's what I put down. What's the identity going to be of this year's defense? You know, I love something that Jalen said. Jalen said something at the press conference today. He says, what we did last year will not help us get to where we want to get to this year. He's right. Out of sight, out of mind. 2022 has no bearing on 2023. Zero. It's wonderful philosophy, wonderful mentality, and he's correct. You see, there's a lot of people. LeBron James doesn't think like this. He thinks about his legacy all the time. Now, maybe because he's later in his career, he's not going to have a lot of winning in Los Angeles. Maybe that's kind of why, because losing will make you think of who you are and what you're doing. Maybe should I continue? Probably there goes into with that with LeBron. But as a young player, that's the attitude you should have. I don't give a shit about 2022. Has no bearing on 23. So what's the identity of the defense going to be? I don't know yet. Are they going to be pass rushers again like they were a year ago? 70 sacks is true. What were they known for last year? What was their identity? It's funny. I don't know if they had an identity. Somebody tell me what the Philadelphia Eagles defensive identity was last year. What was the identity? Were they aggressive? No. Well, wait. How could you have 70? See, hang on here. Seals, they weren't aggressive. They had 70 sacks. True. 70 sacks is a spectacular number. Only the 85 Bears beat it. Getting to the quarterback and being opportunistic. Kind of sounds like, hey, we we were good getting to the quarterback, and we were opportunistic in our ability to do what we did. I don't know. It just sounds kind of common, but I know. It does sound fluky like that. I get it. I mean, it does. It sounds soft a little bit, but it's not when you have 70 sacks. Bend but don't break. JM, that's not a bad one. Okay. That's not a bad bend but don't break. Yeah, but those 70 sacks separate. I mean, dude. It's tremendous. There were 5 off the record, I think. But I do think bend but don't break. Okay. What's the attitude this year going to be? Is that going to be the same kind of identity? Bend but don't break? Can he get to a Super Bowl that way? Well, they did. I think finding out what the identity is. Are they going to have 70 sacks this year? I don't believe so. Okay, I do not. How about this second one? How are the new faces going to play? How are they going to put them into a play? Hey, to be candid and fair, they figured out Hassan Reddick. That's got to be an absolute one of the best things that happened last year for the Eagles was figuring that player out where 2 teams prior could not figure him out, Hassan Reddick. The Cardinals and Carolina couldn't figure it out. They couldn't figure out how to keep him on the field and deal with some of the deficiencies he has in his game. Tackling, covering. He's not the greatest at it. He's great at creating. I'll tell you this. He's an athlete. There's one thing about Hassan Reddick that you notice immediately. He's a pretty good athlete. How about this? I'll use the word exceptional. He's an exceptional athlete. He's an exceptional athlete. Figuring out Hassan Reddick is Jonathan Gannon's only merit badge. Was it really him? Here's why I question that, Tone. He couldn't figure out how to fix the run game. So you know what they did? I think they fell into it. I don't think anybody figured it out. I think once they fixed up the run game by getting Linval Joseph and they got Dominican Sue, I think once they fixed the run game, I think they fell into his production. And that's what helped him. Okay? I think once they fixed it, because if you notice, once they added that guy, those 2 guys to the team, his numbers went up. And I'll give you an example of this. Everyone wants to give Dan Quinn all this credit for Micah Parsons being this great pass rusher. The only reason they figured it out was because the defensive end, their star end, got hurt, and they put him down in a 3-point. All of a sudden, they went, holy shit, look what we got there. Wasn't like Dan Quinn, all of a sudden, like Jim Johnson figured out Hugh Douglas. See, Jim Johnson created Hugh Douglas in a position. I think Dan Quinn fell into Michael Parsons too. As good a coordinator as I think he is. Okay? And I think they fell into it. I don't think Jonathan Gannon, because if Jonathan Gannon was so creative, why couldn't he stop the run game? Couldn't do it. Howie stopped do you want to know this? Howie did more to stop the Eagle run game last year and help the Eagle defensive run game than what Gannon did by getting those 2 players. It was nothing to do with scheme. It was to do with personnel. Sometimes the best plan is not having one at all. Completely true. Okay? Completely true. Gannon had Hassan slot and tight end guys early in the season. That's what I'm saying, Malcolm. I agree with you. How many times did we bitch here in the show early in the year going, why is he covering tight ends and backs? He can't. They didn't have a linebacker on that team a year ago that could do that. That's why I say once they put those 2 D tackles in there and they went from 22 to around 16 a year ago and stopping the run, I think that's when he blew up. That's when he blew up, in my opinion. All right. You know, you guys know a dude by the name of Nostradamus? Well, there was a guy that came on my program a couple weeks ago, and he goes, look, as good as Embiid is, he was like this. The guy in Denver is unbelievable. 30-point triple-double last night. And I made this comment on a national show earlier today. And I said this, if Joker wins on Monday night, the NBA championship, he's got to be considered one of the top 10 pivot men in history. I mean, you go like this. I would say, again, Kareem, Shaq, Wilt. I would say Russell, 6'9". Okay, if you want to, it's generational, like my friend Rick Barry says. It's generational. I think Joker's better than Robinson, and I think he's better than Ewing. Let's get a bird's eye view of that from our Hall of Famer, Rick Barry. I am off base here. What I'm watching with this guy, it doesn't look, Rick, that Joker could jump over a stack of quarters. Yet I look up, he's 30, 20, and 10. And I'm like, what is that?
He's very special. I don't think there's, well, again, I call people who play their position differently than other people have. Steph Curry being one of them. Charles Barkley is a power forward. Magic Johnson is a point guard. I mean, there are a number of guys. Michael, when he came in as the 2, nobody played like that. There's never been a center that's played the game the way the Joker plays the game. He's an anomaly, and no question about it. He's a very special individual. He has an incredible feel for the game. It's almost as if I don't know how he would say it, but it's almost as if it happens in slow motion for him. He just kind of sees everything. He takes his time. And my wife and I were talking yesterday. We were watching the game. And occasionally he's got a quick first step. You know, he's not super fast. He's not super athletic. Like I say, he can't jump, too high. But what talent and skills he has, he uses them he maximizes them. I mean, the guy's just so much fun to watch. He really is. I mean, another example in the game last night, very interesting game. I think that they came out and wanted to prove something, especially Murray, who had a bad game in game number 2. But if the Jokic and Murray play anywhere near the level they played yesterday, there's no chance for Miami to do it. Miami's 2 best players had really good games, right? Adebayo.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, and they, and Butler, but the other people didn't do very much. And here's the conversely, the other Nugget starters who can do some stuff really didn't do much. They got 11 out of Gordon, but I mean, they didn't get much. They got 2 points out of Porter Jr. I mean, so what happens if they play well?
No, I mean, they're going to play. I think Friday night.
Miami is the best. Miami is done great to get to where they are with all of the problems they have with injuries and things, and congratulations to them. But Denver's a better basketball team. And if they both play their best game, Denver's going to win. And it's just the way it is.
Rick, do you think this is the order currently in the NBA right now? It's Joker, Embiid, and then Giannis? Or would you put Giannis too?
It's interesting depending upon what you need. I mean, they're both interesting players. I would say that's tough. It's Joker and then the other 2 guys, pick them. I mean, I wouldn't want to pick one over the other. Athletically, and Giannis. Okay, I mean, seriously, the guy is crazy. Like what they call him, the Greek freak. I mean, I don't think that's a nice name to call somebody. He's not a freak. He's freak in nature, but the guy's incredible. The athleticism that he has, far, far superior athleticism to Embiid and Joker. I mean, no question about it. So if you're hung up on athleticism, like a lot of people get to be, but I would say that you might give it to Embiid because I think Embiid is a better shooter.
Let me throw this at you here. You played in both leagues, and I wonder if you have any kind of feeling towards the Nuggets ABA team. One of the teams, they've never gone to the finals. Here they are here. Does that stuff ever cross your mind? I mean, Rick, you were an MVP in both leagues. You dominated in both leagues. The ABA was, in my opinion, just as good as the NBA. And you were an MVP in both. You won championships.
Well, I wasn't an MVP in both. But the thing is that they were in comparable leagues. The NBA was had more superior teams. But the ABA had a lot of great players. I think the first year that after they had merged, a significant number of all-star players that next season were ABA players. And so I got into a thing years and years ago. I always remember with Marv Albert, the Knicks broadcaster, and he was knocking them and putting the team down. I said, look, they may not have as many really outstanding teams as they do in the NBA. But they have got a lot of great talent that's been given the opportunity to play and let people see what they were capable of doing. So for that, I was grateful to see that happen. So, and again, it was a great opportunity for guys that never would have had a chance because you didn't have many teams. When I came in, I think there were 9 NBA teams is all. 9 and 10-man rosters. I mean, so you had 90 guys. That was it.
God, that ABA though, man, was so.
It was fun. No, it's fun to watch. Up in tempo. It was more of a guard-oriented thing, wing player. But hey, the NBA's turned into that now because they got the 7-footers out playing, shooting 3-point shots. So what's happened is the ABA has made a resurrection. They come back from the dead, and now 7-footers are playing ABA-style basketball.
I mean, really, if you put the red, white, and blue ball in the game, you would see the ABA right now in the current NBA. I want to ask you a question about James Harden here because he's a big topic in Philadelphia right now. Do you really see a big market for him right now? I mean, I wouldn't give him a long-term big money contract. No, he's too far at the end of his career for that. So no, I wouldn't do that. I mean, I would use that money to go and get somebody else who might be younger, this perhaps a unrestricted free agent or something of that nature, and just do a good job of drafting. And I wouldn't do that. I just wouldn't. It's the same thing. Much as I love Thompson, I don't know. You give him a really long-term, big money contract. As much as I love him, would love to see him stay on the Warriors. From an economic standpoint and a fiscal standpoint, I don't know if that makes a lot of sense for the Warriors to do that. And as I say, I've always been such a big fan of his. And he's going to get a ton of money if he does leave and go somewhere. Somebody's going to pay him a lot. Now, whether he can get a lot for a long term, I don't know. But that's a question that only a player can answer. Obviously, Clay has enough money to last multiple lifetimes, okay? And his family could be well taken care of unless he does something super, super foolish, which I don't think he will because he's a bright guy. Do you want to be on more championships teams? To me, that's what it comes down to. It's not about stats. It's not about money. I mean, you play to win. I mean, even today's day, I got a goal for next year. I'm trying to be an 80-year-old freaking pickleball player to win the triple-double in my age and skill category. I'm going to play singles for the first time, singles, men's doubles, mixed doubles. In fact, if anybody's out there knows anybody that's 80 years old, a woman who can play 4 or 4 or 5, get back to Dan and let him know. So I need a partner for next year for the 3 major tournaments. Hey, Rick, let me ask you if you're Joel Embiid here. I saw a press conference today and they got Josh Harris and all those guys. And they bullshitted the fans for about 8 years about the process, and this thing has gone nowhere, and it's continued to have been a train wreck the entire time. How long do you give the 76ers before you're Joel Embiid, before you do this and you pull a Shaq? Hey, look, man, I got to go to an organization that wants to win championships, not sit there and start talking to me about process. I mean, now athletes today, Rick, are mobile. They don't have to sit there and die on the vine if the organization's not doing anything. I mean, if you're Embiid, how many more years do you give this process, so to speak, before you start saying, I want out?
Well, let me stick up for Philadelphia. I mean, they tried. They tried to get some people. They brought Harden in. They tried to see if they can do something with, and I'm going to draw a blank on his name, from the Brooklyn Nets. Just one of those senior moments. Who can't shoot the free throws and stuff. I can't believe that I'm not getting his name popping at the top of my head right now.
Simmons.
Ben Simmons, yeah. Because I remember watching Ben when he played. My son Canyon played against him, and when Ben was at LSU, they played against each other when my son was at the College of Charleston. But I would have loved to have gotten my hands on Ben Simmons. Oh my God. I mean, you talk about a talent that could have been so much greater than what he was. I mean, you could learn how to shoot.
Ben, Rick, what do you think happened to him? What fell off the planet for him? Okay,
it was mental. It was mental.
What does that mean, though, when you say that? Because I believe more in player accountability. That's a him thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, some people have some issues with it, but I mean, if somebody had taught him earlier on about also is fundamental. He was fundamentally unsound with his shot, and if somebody had taught him to do that, and he had gained some confidence in it, God, there's no telling what he would have done. I mean, look at the size of him. I mean, he was a bigger, Magic Johnson type, but the thing is, Magic, at least you'll learn to be able to shoot the 3 and, score some points. And he just got to the point where, hell, he didn't even want to shoot, especially he didn't want to get fouled.
Is it coaching, Rick?
I think sometimes it's a coaching. I mean, I think in Cleveland was the case. I mean, you get LeBron James, one of the greatest talents the game has ever seen. He goes to them, and he's there for years, and nobody corrected his shot. He had a horrible shot. He had horrible shooting form. I mean, I did it because I remember when the first time they played the Warriors in the finals, and I said, it's taking you guys 2.5 years. I've been talking about this for 2.5 years, and now you're finally coming back to me asking me, well, what do you think? Are you blaming the coaching staff? As hell, yes, I'm blaming the coaching staff. You got one of the greatest talents in the world, and he has horrible shooting form, and you're not out there working with him to correct it? I mean, can you imagine? Can you just imagine if LeBron James was a 40% three-point shooter and an 80-something% free throw shooter?
He'd have broke that record 4 years ago.
Oh, my God. So, yeah, I mean, it is. It comes down to that. And then the same thing with Philadelphia. It all comes down to what I told you in team sports. Who do you choose as your personnel? You got to get people who have a feel for my whole thing. Number one, feel for the game. Can't be taught. If a player doesn't have a feel for the game, I don't care how athletic and stuff he is. I know he's never going to be as good as a guy that has a feel for the game. He may be more athletic, but the other guy's going to play better and do more things for you. Number one. Then when he's got that, then you go, and if he has a shortcoming shooting, hey, you work on his shooting, you make him a better shooter, you show him the little nuances of the game. And then the biggest thing then when you're scouting and everything is what's right in here. What's in here? What's in his heart? What kind of person is he? Is he unselfish? Does he care more about the team than he does about himself? You do that and you put that kind of personnel together. That's why you can be successful. And you hope you get a coach that doesn't screw it up and have a coach to put in a system that caters to his players' skills, not a coach with a system that forces the players to play his system.
Rick, do you think that there's a market for Kyrie Irving? He's eligible now for a 4-year, $220 million deal.
Not a
Would
chance.
you invest in him?
Not a chance.
Why?
Great talent, great talent. Well, how many places has he got to go? I mean, he was in Cleveland. He had a chance to stay with LeBron James. That wasn't
good. Is this again
enough.
here, Rick? Rick, is this again here?
Well, no, I think he's a very intelligent guy. I just don't know what the situation is with him, but wherever he seems to go, disaster seems to follow along. I mean, he had the success with LeBron. That's why I couldn't understand. Why do you want to break that up? I mean, Shaq and Kobe, same thing. Why would you break that up? I mean, Kevin Garnett. I mean, not Kevin Garnett, but Kevin Durant. Why would he want to leave the Warriors? I mean, you would have had one of the greatest teams in the history of the game. I mean, I just don't understand what goes through the minds of these guys. I guess a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're more concerned about themselves than they are about the success of the team. And that's why I say when you do your research, find the guys that care more about the success of the team. I mean, the money now is so obscene that shouldn't even be a factor. You get 1 5-year contract like that. I mean, come on, that's $250 million or more. Who the hell is going to spend $250 million in a lifetime unless you're crazy? I mean, seriously, it just breaks my heart when I see that stuff. And that's why I love guys like the Joker and Steph Curry and the way they go out and play. And there's so many of them, CP3, and the guys that have the right attitude, who have the great feel for the game and care more about winning than anything else.
2 last questions for you. John Morant, I haven't asked you yet about this. What's your take on him and what the league is going through right now? Again, it's conduct. You and me had places in our contract that said conduct detrimental to the team and league. And so the NFL, in my case, could always come down on you because it was so vague that if anything they thought was going to hurt the reputation of the Shield, they could suspend you. What's your take on John Morant, Rick?
John, get rid of the guys you're hanging around with. They're not your friends. A good friend is never going to let you pull out a gun and let you get videoed with a gun in your freaking hand. These guys are idiots.
Rick, you're talking too simple and too
no. And that's the bottom line.
Common sense. I
mean, Dan, everybody is a product of their environment.
They
the
are.
Critical element for these young people, all these guys with the friends. If a guy is asking you or to go out and do things that you know in your heart, in your mind, are not the best things, or not legal things, are not the best things image-wise, he's not your friend. If he was a friend, they said, John, what the hell are you doing? Put that thing away. I mean, and after the first incident that took place, they should be all over his butt. Never allowed him to do that. It's the same thing if you've got a friend. I've got a friend that I really, really care about, and he's an alcoholic, works on it all the time. I mean, if I'm around him, there's not a chance I'd let him put 1 drop of alcohol to his lips. That's never going to happen. okay? And yet there are people around who do stuff who will drink in front of him. What the hell? I mean, if you're a friend, you protect your friends. His friends are not protecting him. He needs to get rid of these people, and it's going to cost him millions of dollars because they're going to come down hard on him because he obviously didn't learn his lesson the first time. So he's getting strike. Now, this is strike number 2 against him. And if he screws around after this, I mean, they're liable to just dismiss him. And what a shame, because he's such a talent and he's so much fun to watch. He's one of the guys that is worth the price of admission, because during the course of a game, he's probably going to do something that'll go, oh my God, did he just do that? I feel so sad, because I just love to see greatness, and to see him frittering it away. I'm using the better word, frittering it away. It just breaks my heart to see that, because I love the game of basketball and I want to see it be as good and as entertaining as it could possibly be.
Absolutely. Finally, Rick, the series over?
Should be. I mean, but hey, anything can happen. That's why I say you got to play the games. But for Miami to have any chance at all, they obviously have to win this next game, because then it's a 3-game series with the home court now back in favor of Denver. But if they lose this game, I mean, 3-1 is very difficult. It's not happened hardly at all. 3-0 Boston almost pulled it off, but they didn't. And just think about it. If they don't win, they're down now 3-1 going back. They have to win again on Denver's home court, which is difficult to do. Then you got to come home and take care of business at home. Then you have to go back and beat them again. You have to beat them 3 times in their home court. That's not going to happen.
It's not. Rick, tell the folks where they can find you, and obviously too, part of the big 3. I can't wait for that. Cube's got that league going, and really excited about it.
Well, I'm excited because I think I have players in the team that I actually can be competitive and hopefully get into the playoffs this year. So I'm excited and looking forward to that, starting in Chicago on the 25th of June. So check that out if you want. And then if you go to Rick24 Barry, I'm on the social media stuff. But the big thing is medicilleaf.com, MEDICILEAF.com. Okay. ALOEMD.com, and GoSleeves.com, GOSLEEVES. Check all of those out. Just research it yourself. I use those products every day. I live with them. There's no question. 2 of them are cannabinoid-based products that don't have THC in it. The other one's great sleeves with kinesio tape built into them for your calves and Achilles and knees and elbows. Check them out and put RB24, my initials, RB, small RB24, in all of them, and you'll get a really great discount. And all I can say is I hope they work for you as well as they work for me. But I just, I love these products. Absolutely great. And I've got some more. I'm coming up with some new stuff even. I mean, I try to be healthy. I'm going to be 100 years old and be able to fly fish and play pickleball. And I've got some other stuff now that I've been using for years that I haven't talked about, that next time I'll tell the folks about it. So if you want to do stuff to keep you healthy from the inside out, this is, I'm getting into a couple of more products, because I always look into anything that can help me enjoy life, stay as young as possible at my age, and to stay healthy.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate it, my friend. We'll see what happens on Friday night. Thank you very much, Rick.
It was a pleasure.
You bet. Rick Barry, our good friend, telling us how it is in the NBA. And man, can you imagine that you'd have to travel as many times as you did to go back to Denver and this and that? That's just not going to happen. I completely agree with him 100%. I think we're going to continue on here, Tone, because I want to get back into some of the things that we talked about. By the way, I think that's an interesting comment about Embiid. How many years should Embiid give the Sixers? 1? What's funny is that I hear some of the people in the media in Philadelphia going like this: they should trade Embiid. Hey, screw that. I'd be like this if I'm Joel Embiid. Okay. You want to trade me? Okay, get rid of him? Sure, okay, thank you. Your process is never going to win with Josh Harris as your owner. Don't you see that now? You're not going to win. That guy, there's certain owners that win, and there's certain owners that don't win. He doesn't win. All right. I want to get back and I want to reset what we were talking about with this Eagle defense. By the way, 9 games of the Philadelphia Eagle upcoming schedule I've circled, and I've got comments, and we're going to hit on those at the top of the hour here. Reasons the Eagle defense might struggle in 2023. I said identity. What will we see? The identity. Will it be again, bend but don't break? How are the new faces going to be used? How are they going to implement them? What kind of rotation are they going to have when it comes to their defensive tackles? Who's starting? Who's not? How are you using Nolan Smith? By the way, Nolan Smith looks pretty good out there running around. I'm excited about him. Here's the third one. So it's about Sean Desai. His background. His defensive mentality. Mel Tucker. Vic Fangio. Being around Pete Carroll. I would say this to you. Pete Carroll's an aggressive D coordinator. What is he? If I am going to sit there and say, what kind of defense is Sean Desai going to put in Philadelphia this year? I think it's going to be a cross between Pete Carroll's style and Vic Fangio's style. And a little bit of Mel Tucker. And Mel Tucker's the head football coach at Michigan State. I think you're going to see a little bit of this. And here's why I go here with this. What does Carroll believe in the most? He believes in pressure. He believes in corner play. And he believes in what? Safety setting the tone. I'll tell you something that I'm hearing a lot of good comments about is Sidney Brown. I'm hearing a lot of good comments that they think this kid, Sidney Brown. And if you listen to Lovie Smith is using the words warrior, tough, leader, attitude. Everything I want to hear in a safety. Boy, how come I feel and how come I'm starting to get a sense? And can I tell you what Lovie told me? Lovie goes, Sills, this guy's a little Cam Chancellor. I was like, what? He goes, yeah, he feels like Cam Chancellor. I was like, oh, wait a minute. You think he's that good? I go, I think he's that tough. He brings the wood. Like, this guy's going to hit you. Like, don't be shocked if you see him get fined this year for hitting people across the middle. I'm like, okay, so you think he's a tone setter? I go, oh yeah. I can't tell you how many times he had helmet to helmet. This past year at Illinois, all the games I watched, there's a new head coach in there now. The guy who used to be the Wisconsin head coach. But Lovie goes, every time I watch him, this guy's getting a targeting. He's getting questioned on targeting. I'm like, well, okay. Well, I like the kid Witherspoon. He goes, oh, he's a fabulous player, but this guy's a tone setter. Okay. He's going to hit you. I was like, Cam Chancellor? That's the first time I had ever thought about that. He goes, yeah, take a look at Cam Chancellor and how Cam played, and then look at Sidney, how he plays. That's what we used to say at Illinois all the time. He's got a Cam Chancellor vibe about him and the way he plays. Okay, and I was going like, all right. And all you're hearing is people saying that that's the kind of guy you have to have in a Sean Desai, Pete Carroll, Vic Fangio defense. You've got to have a guy set the tone back there. You got to have a guy who's going to knock the snot bubbles out of people, and then the rest takes care of itself. That would be the first safety that they've had back there like that in a long time. That's going to knock the shit out of you. CJ did knock the shit out of you because he was in the slot. But you got a guy that can knock the shit out of you now. I was pleasantly surprised when I heard that comparison. When Lovie Smith compared him to Cam Chancellor. And he goes, well, look at Sean Desai's background. He's got Mel Tucker's coached him, Vic Fangio, and Pete Carroll. So all those guys had what in common? Tone-setting safeties. Yeah, I mean, most of the time when you have, Brian Dawkins, obviously. Hey, I would say this, Weapon. Yes, Gardner Johnson was a ball hawk, but most of the time when you have ball hawk guys, they're not usually great hitters. You got a guy here who's a hitter. You know what he's looking to do? He's not looking really much for the football. He's looking to take your head off and looking to set a message to you. I've known Lovey. I've known Lovey Smith since Tampa, and he knows personnel. Look, almost every single one of his defensive backs got drafted last year from that Illinois team that he recruited. Okay, and he said that this kid here was one of his favorite players that he's ever coached. The way that he brought the wood. Okay. I would say this too. How is this defense with all the new faces? How long will it take to gel? Here's what I would do if I was Desai. I wouldn't try to inflict a will of a structured defense in this defense. Do you know what I would do? I would let the players go out and take care of business themselves first. Here, and hence what I'm saying to you is this. Don't fuck it up. Go out, put your structure in. Put what you want as a parameter of how you want it to look. Make it look a little like last year. And you know what I would do? I would change because I have Pete Carroll, Vic Fangio, and Mel Tucker type mentality. To me, the great coaches today, especially the great coordinators, I'm not going to do this, guys, to you. I'm not going to do this. This is the kind of defense that we're going to run here. This is what we're going to try to implement here. I'm going to go like this. Let's go play some ball. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to start taking notes. Okay, we need a little bit better at the cornerback position. So maybe we slide the safety over to the right. And this is how you put a boutique defense together. You change. You don't change the personnel you have. You go to what the personnel is on the field. This is what I think is different. Okay? This is what I think is different in today's NFL when it comes to coaching. In the past, coordinators, offensively and defensively, had a system. They wanted you to run it. See, this is why your favorite coordinator, Jim Johnson, was always ahead of the game. Jim was so far ahead that he would be a fabulous D coordinator today. He would, because Jim Johnson's not going to sit there and go with a 4-3 defense. That's not what he's going to do. He's going to look at the personnel that he's been given from Howie Roseman. And by the way, these are the kind of coaches that the Eagles love. Guys are like Sean Desai. Howie gives them a roster. Howie gives them the players. And it's up to the coaches to put those players in position to win. That's why Howie doesn't want you interfering with the personnel on the football field. He wants you to figure out the personnel that their department has brought in, the kind of style of play they want, the kind of attitude they want, the kind of player they want. And it's up to the coaches to come up with a way to put them into a system. That's why they have no say in the personnel. Don't anybody, Desai said the defense should match the city's attitude. Well, Weapon, that's what Howie does. Howie drafts people that represent you guys too, in a way. Quality people, not real jackasses. I mean, the coaches don't sign guys anymore. The personnel departments, this is why this new wave coach is in the game today. And hey, listen, and Tone, no disrespect, but I heard the Sports Take guys talking about Nick Sirianni. Boy, they give that guy way too much credit. I don't think he has anything to do with anything. I think he's a babysitter. I think he's a really good babysitter. That guy has no say in coaching when it comes to the assistant coaches. They hire all the head coaches, the front office. They hire all the assistant coaches. to hire all the personnel. Hell, they even have an idea what kind of game plan they want. The coach is there to make it work and to make everything. Now, I do think that Nick's kind of like a CEO of it, and he's kind of like been hired as the CEO, but they can fire his ass like they can Andy Reid at any moment. If it doesn't start, hey, by the way, we'll find out how. Hey, you guys were asking for his head when he was 2-5. Callie Green goes, players love him. Yeah, players love him. Why? Because he's on their side. He's trying to help them win because they're helping him win. Okay, it goes hand in hand. And the front office has all to say. So are you under some sort of notion that it was Doug Peterson that threw that last game of the year when you guys tanked that game at the end of the year 3 years ago? Or do you think it was Howie in the front office that tanked that game? Head coaches aren't going to tank a game. Front offices are. Trying to get a better draft choice, don't want to pay incentives, whatever. I mean, so you think Doug Peterson just tanked the game and started yanking starters? Every coach wants to win a ball game. And here's a prime example of it. Speaking of Lovie Smith, Lovie gave it to the Texans last year when he won that final game. And the Bears ended up getting the number 1 overall pick. The Bears ended up trading out of that with Carolina. But Lovie won that final game of the year against what the front office wanted. I mean, say what you will. Coaches don't get into profession to tank games. But see, Nick gets it. Nick understands the environment. Hey, to go along, you get along. And you do what what's Nick Sirianni? What do you actually believe is Nick Sirianni's role? What do you think is what do you think is Nick Sirianni's role on the Eagles? Just curious what you think his role is. Did you actually really believe that he surrendered to play calling? I don't believe that. I think it was taken from him because he was 2-5. For him just to go, hey, you know what? I'll stop. Dude, when you don't deviate off a plan like that in 7 games of your coaching career. It was taken from him. The Eagles saved his coaching career. Because if Nick would have kept going as a play caller, he'd have been fired. He'd have been fired. And personally, Shane Steichen was better in the RPO than what Nick was. That's how I think that decision was made. And that's how I think Steichen got the job in Indianapolis, because he's a better RPO coach. Think about the quarterbacks that Nick Sirianni has coached. Phillip Rivers, guys who were pure drop back guys, not RPO guys. So a guy that was more in tune with the RPO system was Shane Steichen. Made sense. Nick saw it too. He wanted to be the head coach of the Eagles. Guarantee you Frank Reich told him, hey, they want to take the play calling away. You don't think he had that conversation with Frank? Frank went like this probably. Go ahead. Let him. Because then it's their call. Do you understand that they have now, what they did by doing that and having a guy with play calling, okay, with play calling duties, he's a scapegoat now, not Sirianni. They like Nick. They want Nick to be the head coach of this team for a long time. So the way you do that, don't have a head coach who's a play caller. Now, get this. Now the head coach is out of harm's way when it comes to being fired if something goes south. You don't have to fire your guy. You could fire the guy under him. He's the play caller. You hired him. Can't fire a guy who's the head coach if you bring in Brian Johnson. That was an organizational decision, not a Nick Sirianni decision. Because if Nick makes that decision, he's fired. Okay? There's not a person that believes that Nick Sirianni's in control of that locker room. Absolutely not. You think they're going to try to save Nick from his own undoing? You think they were going to try to save Nick from his own? Yeah. When he was 2-5, absolutely. They saw it wasn't going anywhere. They saw it wasn't going anywhere. Then they got on a run, and they never looked back. And they like him. Doug Peterson would never have given up play calling duties. Never happened. Nick actually saved himself from himself with that move. Whereas Doug would have he did get canned. Today's NFL coach is Nick Sirianni. He's not a one-up. The coaches all over the league like that. Like, look at the Los Angeles Chargers. They bring in Kellen Moore. Do you actually think Brandon Staley brought that guy in and hired him? Come on. Tom Telesco and the Spanos family brought that guy in. For what reason? Because they thought the offense wasn't going anywhere. Brandon Staley kept the job because he goes along with it. And the organization is hiring assistant coaches like that. Here's a better one. The offensive coaches in New York with the Jets were hired before Aaron Rodgers got there, and it enticed them because they brought Nathaniel Hackett in. You actually think that Robert Saleh, the head coach of the Jets, had any say in that? Absolutely not. He had no say in that. Let me play ball with you for a second. Is it possible Howie pulled him to a side and said, look, I like you, and I know you like calling plays, but I can't save you if you screw this up? Actually, I probably think that Frank, here, Tone, personally, I think that probably Frank went to him and said, hey, look, you're 2-5. And if I were you, Shane, because remember what he said about Frank. Frank Reich is his mentor. Frank Reich is his confidant. They talk, what did he say? 3 times a week? I guarantee you, and somewhere in those conversations in the first 7 games, that Frank said to him, hey, I'm going to tell you something. Shane is a better RPO guy than you. See, when you're friends like that and you guys have done a lot of work with one another, I didn't realize Sirianni was in San Diego when I was covering the Chargers. I didn't realize he was a wide receiver coach. And he'd been around him a long time. And I wouldn't be shocked if Frank and him had talked it out. And then Sirianni actually went to Howie and said, hey, you know what? We might want to try to give him the opportunity to call plays. I would say that could have been even in the conversation. And then they came to an agreement, everyone in the office, and said, let's give the play calling over. It probably was a mutual understanding. So you think Frank helped Sirianni get ahead? Frank Reich helped him get the job in the first place. Why wouldn't he help him keep his job? And remember something. I don't know, Tone, if you were doing the show with me or not, but when Frank came on, he told you he had been offered the offensive coordinator's job already before the Panthers offered him the head coaching job. I mean, he was going to be the offensive coordinator in Philadelphia, Frank Reich. They had already offered it to him. He said it here. Go back and listen. Then he got the Panther job. So you don't think there was any kind of like tie into that? Frank Reich was going to be the offensive coordinator in Philadelphia if he didn't get the Panther job. I point blank asked him, did Philly reach out to you? And get this, it hadn't been made official yet that Steichen was the Colts head coach. He goes, yeah, we had conversations about me being the coordinator. Then he stopped. Make sense? Sirianni followed Frank everywhere he went. It's actually JM. There's a tree. Mike McCoy, the former head coach of the Chargers, Doug Peterson, Sirianni, and Frank Reich. There's a couple more guys that were on that coaching staff in Indianapolis that were with Frank in Buffalo, Philly, and in San Diego with the Chargers that he had built this kind of like coaching tree with. And there's a bunch of guys, but it's McCoy. Here's the guys that have their own little like clique here, and it's Doug Peterson, Mike McCoy. Where's Mike? Do you guys know where Mike McCoy is now? Okay. I like this segment, Sills. You're talking us into the dark rooms where the uncensored NFL conversation. Hey, well, somebody do me a favor. Google Mike McCoy, coach. Tell me where he is. I'm assuming he's with one of those guys right now. Mike McCoy's either with Frank, he's with Doug, or he could be even in Indianapolis right now. He could be one of those guys, the former head coach of the Colts or of the Chargers. So I don't really know where he is. Mike McCoy is the quarterback coach in Jacksonville. Who would have thunk it? That's why you guys, hey, always know you get caught in a like. Here was the Bill Walsh kind of tree kind of thing. Holmgren, Shanahan, Seifert. Had a bunch of guys that were on that coaching staff at one time, McKittrick. And so what they have is they have this group. And you know why they have this group? Was when these guys go out and become a head coach and you get fired because of something, you have places to land. You have places to land. Frank was never not going to be a head coach or an assistant coach again. Because he could have, get this, he could have been the offensive coordinator in, no, not in Indy, but in Arizona, Philadelphia, or Jacksonville, if he so chose. He wanted Philly because why? He loves the organization and they love him. He's the guy that recommended Sirianni to Jeffrey Lurie. You know this. He said that also here. What's funny about it is you guys don't remember Frank Reich on this program saying, when I asked Frank the question, hey, who recommended Sirianni to the Eagles? He goes, I did. Was this in the middle of the Wentz deal? He goes, yeah. Frank Reich is the reason Nixon. Why do you think he jumped on that park bench at Arizona? Or no, in Indy. Why do you think he jumped on that bench? Because if it wasn't for Frank, he's never the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Frank was the reason he got the job. You guys were talking stupid-ass Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley. Oh, boy. When I heard John Ritchie throwing that bullshit out, now I've thrown some shit out in my day, but even I went, Lincoln Riley, head coach. Didn't you learn your lesson with dumbass Chip Kelly? Man, what in the world were you thinking that Lincoln Riley would have ever chose? And by the way, Lincoln Riley needed to only stay one more year to get a $6 million. What was that thing called? It was called because he had been there for such a period of time. They gave him a $6 million bonus for a longevity bonus for being there over 10 years. They gave him $6 million extra. Dude, I love John Ritchie, man. He's not bad either. But Lincoln Riley, the head coach of the Eagles, they probably spoke to him. But come on, man. They probably spoke to him because of Jalen, not because of being the head coach. That's invested, JM. I think that's what it was. All right. Hey, 9 games that I think are going to be difficult ball games for the Eagles this year, and I'm going to tell you why. And these are games that, get this, boy, I'll tell you something. You look at that schedule a little bit more, it looks pretty tough. Hit the like button. Power Hour's coming up. I appreciate you guys coming aboard. Please keep it here on the National Football Show.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
For the big story on Action News,
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the steaks and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia Dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, go to left, fake 'em out. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again?
You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Kelsey brothers are going to be in Atlantic City with beer. The Kelsey brothers are going to be in Atlantic City with beer at an event. Oh, my God almighty, man. I mean, what more do you want? Kelsey brothers doing a live show with beer. Get the broads and we're ready. Yeah. Holy cow, man. What more? Hey, isn't this all? Hey, this is all you need to have. They'll do it every year, Sills. They do it every year, Sills. They serve beer to the Patriots live and do it live. It's fantastic. This is taking the role of the Wing Bowl. This is the new Philadelphia Wing Bowl. I know it's in Jersey, but I mean, this is the area's Wing Bowl now. What these guys are doing. I've been to a Wing Bowl. Tony Bruno, he helped start that thing. And it was at the Spectrum. 25,000 wings. Smelled like piss everywhere. It's a great event. Hey, Tone, ask your old man about the Wing Bowl. Great event, man. Hey, Sue, that's great. The Kelseys and beer at a live content event. Oh, man. Good night. You can't get any better than that. Beer and Kelsey brothers. I mean, shit, I'm in. What's the ticket price? I don't care. I'm going. It sounds like a boatload of fun. Okay? It's just a ton of fun. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that's why you love those two guys. Hey, personally, I would love those two guys to do broadcasting of an NFL game. I would want them like to do a broadcast, have a 3-man booth with those two guys, because it would be hilarious. As a matter of fact, I would have them on Monday night. It would be like Cosell and Dandy Don and Frank Gifford. You put those 3 guys on Monday Night Ball, I'm watching it every freaking night, and you don't need to have some stupid simulcast with the Mannings. Can you imagine Travis and Jason Kelsey doing football games on a Monday night? I mean, I don't know who you would put in there, the straight guy, but dude, that would be hilarious listening to those 2 guys just talking about the game. Guys would be going nuts. I think they're destined for that kind of stuff. Be a great show. See, I don't give a shit about, hey, I think some of you now understand Big Sills a little better. By the way, I'm going to get into my 9 toughest games on the Eagles schedule and why. But I think you understand now. Dude, to me, it's about entertainment and sports broadcasting. I don't give a fuck about truth, justice, and all that. I don't care. Entertain me. Entertain me. Truth, I'll figure it out. I don't need you to tell me the truth or your truth. Entertain me. Well, this guy's not the integrity broadcaster that we're so used to hearing. I don't want to hear that guy. I could give a shit about that guy. Well, so I'm the man that gives you the straight news. No BS and all the truth. Like, whatever, guy. You're about as entertaining as my foot. And most people think that because broadcasters, you know why the broadcasting world is mad at me? Because I don't subscribe to that bullshit. I don't care. I went to school for broadcasting and you're not entertaining. You want to know why your career's where it is? Because you're not entertaining. You know why my career's where it is? Because people fear me. And now what's happened is I've reinvented myself with you guys. Now they fear me more. Joe Kraus knows this. Xander knows this. They fear me more now. That's why they fear Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan can say whatever he feels like it. You can't stop him. You can't cancel him. Shit, you think I would do a show like this on radio? Hell no. You know why? It's not that you couldn't take it. The people in management couldn't take it. Hey, you want to know why Odyssey's trading at 2 cents a share? It's because of what I just said. 2 cents a share. I worked on Wall Street. I was a stockbroker for Bear Stearns. You're supposed to be delisted by now. You're a penny stock. 5 years ago, you went from $40 to 2 cents. I'm not kidding. The only thing keeping them places afloat in sports are WIP and the Fan. The rest of them are horrible. Travis was trying to get on the mic in the White House. Tremendous. Tremendous. Hey, Philly? Yeah. Yes. You think the industry is taking takes from podcasts? Alexander. Yeah. That's why those companies are all dying. That's why radio's dying. Absolutely. The radio world's dying. They had to save the AM frequency from being extinct because lawmakers, Ford and Chevrolet, were trying to take AM radio, the frequency, out of their cars. It would have completely ended AM radio. But then they changed their boat because, you know what they did? They didn't do it for anything else but public service. For like in case of emergencies and floods and catastrophes and shit. They didn't say it because you need to hear AM radio. Dude, AM radio is hanging on by a pig's hair. The little swinette. Yeah. Podcast industry and the internet is driving radio like it drove the newspaper business out of business. The internet's doing all that. And here's one last thing on this. You know why sportscasters and news people and reporters hate Twitter? Because it makes them obsolete. I could go to Shaq's Twitter. I could go to John Morant's Twitter. I could go to Jalen Hurts' Twitter. I don't need a reporter to give me his opinion on what he's saying. They have basically eliminated them guys. That's why they attack people who say shit on Twitter or any social media platform. It's the fastest way to get somebody in the industry off a platform like me. They didn't do it because I said anything fucked up. They did it because it was a way to stop me. That's what they do. But what they didn't realize, and I didn't realize, I'm kind of late to the game in podcasting. I fought it for 3 years. I did. Nah, I don't want nothing to do with this shit. So I'm a little behind the game. Still has a face for radio. Hey, Brian. Spoken like a... Hey, okay, Brian. I can't wait to meet you one day at a... You better look like Tom Cruise then, Brian. When I see you at a tailgate, okay, you better look like Tom Cruise. Oh, all right, let's move on here. Hey, by the way, so I guess Quez Watkins now is the star of camp. I kind of like that, man, what they're doing for the kid. I kind of like that, what they're doing. They're pumping him up. They want to keep him. They like him. And anytime you hear Sirianni, and see, by the way, here goes into what you guys were talking about, the importance of having Sirianni as your head coach. When Sirianni gets in front of a microphone and someone asks him and goes like this, who's been a star of your camp? Quez Watkins. Dude, I would take that as, wow, that's great. The coach singled me out. And it would motivate me and would also tell me this and my agent. They want to keep me. They want me here. They want you to win, dude. Remember, and get this, Tone laughed at me a little bit when I said it. Quez, play better. This is what I meant by that, Tone. They want him here. They don't want to move on from him. They like the player's role. He's just got to make more plays. When you throw a pass across the middle in a Super Bowl, you've got to catch that. That's what keeps you on the roster, is that moment. See, Quez Watkins is not going to have a career like normal receivers in Philly. He's going to have a moments, whether he stepped up or not, in his Eagle career. See, he's not going to have 65, 70 catches, but he could have 40 catches and 7 of them you remember. That's what they want from him. He's got to fulfill that role. Dude, 45 catches from him, 650 yards, 5 touchdowns, and some critical moments, going deep like he did against Minnesota. That's what they want from him. He has got to figure out his true role on that team and understand his role. That's his role. Now define it by playing better. Like I said, Tone, play better. That's your role. Play better. He's got the speed. Look, I'll tell you, like I said about him, the one thing that I love about the kid, this guy's a 4.2, 4.3 guy. Shit, you can't coordinate against that. You've got to account for that. He's a deep threat guy, and he's the only deep threat guy you have in the building. That's the guy. I have to, as a coordinator, go, this guy runs a 4.3. I've got to put a guy on him, or he's going to run right down the seam on me, and it's over, like he did in Minnesota. But when counted on, you got to fight for here's the things he's got to do better. Haas, get bigger, stronger. You got to fight for that ball. You can't let people take that ball out of your hands. And if anything, fight for it. Fight for it. Don't let them just rip it out of your arms like that. You look weak. And that's why a lot of people had some issues with him last year in the way he played. Kid, play harder. Play harder, play tougher, and make those catches when called upon. And you'll be an Eagle for 10 years. Speed never dies like that. Get this. Quez Watkins could theoretically have a longer career in Philadelphia than what AJ can. Why? Okay, let's just say 5 years from now, he doesn't run a 4.3. He runs a 4.4. Okay, we're not really off the mark that much. And he's still probably in the top end of the league when it comes to fast receivers. You got a guy like that that's 4.2, 4.3. Shit, dude, that guy played 10 years. If he delivers. And again, that's the case here. Okay? Yeah, look at Deshaun. That's exactly right. Dude, Deshaun Jackson, that guy put fear in people because of that speed he had. All right. I wrote down these 9 games that I think are going to be very difficult football games this year for the Eagles, and I'll tell you why. These 9 games I singled out on the schedule this year. I think the Eagles have the toughest schedule in the NFL. And I'll tell you what I do think also. I think the Eagles have maybe one of the toughest stretches of ball games I've seen in a long time. So let's start into it now. Let's start with week 1. September 10th, week 1, AFC, great coaching, Patriots, on the road. Belichick and who is Belichick going to attack in that game defensively with his quarterback? He's going to attack the run game. They're big, by the way. The one thing that you will always know with an identity of a New England Patriots team, they are big dudes. When you watch and go to a game and you see Patriot linemen, they're big humans. They are big. They are going to go after Nakobe Dean. Make no mistake about that. They're going to go after him with tight ends, screens, and running backs, and they're going to run the ball right up the middle. They're going to threaten that first. Then what they're going to threaten with tight ends coming across the middle, I think, do they have the kid Henry at tight end that used to be with the Chargers? He's a pretty good football player. He can get open. They're going to go after the safety position as well. So you're going to see the middle of the field, and you're going to see the run game threatened. So that's offensively. Now, here's the key. You guys will go like this. Yeah, but they got Mac Brown. I saw Andy Dalton kick the shit out of you last year. Don't go by that mentality because you'll get beat. It's week 1. You don't know what you have yet on defense. So to me, before you start talking shit, I've seen quarterbacks eat your defense alive. I'm glad we have a hard schedule. People cried that we weren't playing great teams, and I think Jalen shocked some people. Look, and I'll always say this to you too, Weapon. Last year's schedule was a joke. However, that's not the Eagles' fault. And the Eagles turned that schedule into a joke. They did the right thing. They beat almost every person up on that team. And on that schedule they played. So did they have an easy schedule? Well, yeah, they kicked the shit out of it. Congratulations. You did what you were supposed to do. Like I said, if you win 11, 12 games this year and you win home field advantage, I think you'd had a better season than you did a year ago. You're a better team. So now, defensively, how would I attack Jalen? You've got to stop the run and get the ball out of his hands. You've got to. Do they have the coaches to do this stuff? I completely believe they do. However, I don't know they have the personnel to do this. That edge rusher they have is pretty impressive, but he gets negated because of Mulata and Lane. I don't know how much personnel they have on that side of the ball to be able to threaten the Eagle offense. Like, who covers Goddard? Who is like your corners are good. Always a staple in a Belichick defense. But to me, if I'm Belichick, I got to get that ball out of Jalen's hands. Got to get it out of his hands. He's the key to the whole thing. Him handling the football and his decision-making on the field. If I'm Belichick, can't have the ball. Create some turnovers. How do you do that? Make him throw it. Make him throw it. And I'm not saying he's a bad quarter. I'm saying make him have high. See, this is where you guys go, well, Sileo says he's not a good passer. That's not the truth. I'm trying to get him in high turnover plays, which is passing the football. Do you not agree with that? Higher percentage plays are turnovers, passes across the middle, seam passes, tips, fumbles, shit like that. Okay? That's why, what Michael's saying, that's why with Swift being in the backfield and you having screen passes potentially, where you have no screen game whatsoever. What was the stat that Jalen Hurts was number one in the NFL and not having checkdowns? Well, it's because he doesn't have anyone to throw the ball to. Checkdowns? That's Brady what checkdowns do. He won 7 Super Bowls doing checkdowns. That's not a bad thing. He won 7 Super Bowls doing that. You think risk it, no biscuit wins a ton of Super Bowls. It doesn't. Brian goes, what are the Patriots rec for opening games? I don't give a shit what that means. I don't buy into that stuff. Last year's last year. 2 years ago is 2 years ago. 3 years ago, not the same team. I don't care anything about that stuff. That stuff is dumb. It says nothing. It has no bearing on anything. Maybe the last 2 years or 3 years, 2 years possibly, but rosters changed too much for me to give a shit about what you did 2 years ago. Could care less. This isn't like the 80s and 90s NFL where guys are on teams for 10 years. It means nothing. It means zero. The second toughest game is October 15th, week 6, against the Jets. AFC team. It's a better defense, I believe, than what Rodgers had last year in Green Bay. I think he's going to have more skilled people at the Y and Z. The offensive line yet. Here's the issue that I have with the Jets is that I don't think they have a very good O-line. And with everyone crowing and telling me how great that the Jets are going to be this year, you still haven't addressed one thing. What about your O-line? You're not very good in that line. I just don't see where they're good in that offensive line. But because it's Rodgers, I do think it's going to be a difficult football game. Week 7, Dolphins. Is Tua playing? That'll be the key. If Tua's playing, he's accurate. He can get the ball to people. Plus, there's going to be some motivation. Because right now, this is what people have done about Jalen Hurts and Tua. If you're Tua, well, I didn't get a new contract extension. I got my 5th-year option picked up. That's a far cry. You got $18 million. Jalen got $50 million. Right now, the perception is Jalen's better than you. And that worm is turned. Where everyone thought, shit, remember the comment tanking for Tua? Now, all of a sudden, Tua is behind. Why? Injuries. Will he be there? Jalen has gone ahead of Nick Saban's decision. How about that one? Not only has he changed the perception about him being better than Tua, but he's actually made the decision that Nick Saban chose to be wrong. In the end, he was wrong. Hey, in the end, Sean McVay may be wrong. Sean McVay, think about this, for instance. Did Sean McVay give up on Jared Goff too soon? Did he give up on him too soon? Did he lose his patience? Tylenol Tua. It's all right. Hey, you don't have to be sorry about that kind of. That's funny. See, but don't do that too much because you know what'll happen, Tone. You'll start to get accused. See, you're hanging around Sills now. Remember what people tell you. Watch out because he'll drag you down. Remember that comment. So hang in there. But that's funny. See, to me, that's funny. Other people would think that's insensitive, but it's not. It's funny. Here, all of a sudden now you're looking at McVay. You think McVay gave up on Jared Goff too soon? I wonder what they're thinking in Los Angeles right now. They're trying to trade Stafford away. And now Dan Campbell's going like this. I love the guy we have. He's actually, get this. I know they got the kid from Tennessee, but that's kind of a project. They had all those first-round draft choices, and Jared Goff played so well and changed such an opinion in Detroit that they did not draft a quarterback in the first round. They took a running back and a linebacker. That's a win for Jared Goff. That's a win. They took a linebacker and a running back and the second best running back instead of a quarterback because they like Jared Goff. That turned my head. I was like, wow. Holy shit, man. They like the kid. Dude, the actions speak louder than the words. They actually like the kid. It's cool for him. Now you look at Sean McVay and go, hey, this guy jumped the gun. Week 9, Cowboys. It's at home, November 5th. Dak versus Philly. Dak has played well against you. Year ago, best game of the year, 78% completion percentage. He torched the second best defense in the National Football League. Crushed it. Wasn't close. Beat him up. And it's what he's done in his entire career is beat the Eagles up. So you could say whatever you want that Dak sucks. He don't suck against you. See, and I said this to you a couple weeks ago. Dak will do this to you guys, which is just so like Dak. He'll throw for 425 yards versus you, then turn around versus the Titans and throw for 186 yards and 2 picks. And you're like, where did that come from? I mean, where did that come from? Oh, he's traditionally that guy. Week 11, here's the stretch. Boy, I'll tell you what, man. This is your stretch run here. You could possibly say from week 6 on, this is probably the toughest schedule I've seen in a long time. Okay? Then you got week 11, Chiefs, Mahomes, and Andy Reid. And it's at Arrowhead. Whew. Wow. A revenge game. I just depends what Hopkins does. Still yet to be determined. Maybe they get Dalvin Cook. I don't know. But that November 20th game is going to be one that could be the highest rated game of the year. You guys remember that? You guys remember that game on Monday night years ago? That was the Chiefs and Rams. And those guys put on a monster show that night. This could be something like that kind of game. Massive, massive ratings for that November. I think that Dolphin game's a Sunday night game on the 7th too, if I'm not mistaken. But that November 20th game is going to be must-see television. That's appointment setting. Tyler goes that Dak is done. Dak kicked the shit out of you. How do you say that? He was almost 80% completion percentage versus you last year. Last time he lost a game was 17 versus the Eagles. Come on, dog. Get over yourself. Dak, he beats you every game he's in. Week 12, following the Chiefs game. You got a home game against the Bills. Allen, And I would say their head coach is probably going to, from what I understand, the head coach is now taking on the duties of being the defensive coordinator this year as well. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be that's a week 12 game. Man, actually, it's 19. Thank you, Cosmo. 19. It's 5 years. We're going into the 5th year. Last time you beat them. So before you start talking shit, you're going into the 5th year where you haven't beaten them yet. He's done. You haven't beaten a guy going into the 5th year, and he's done. Okay. That's the same guy who says Dalvin Cook's not going to be a good fit on the Eagles. Okay. Those are people you don't argue with. You just go, sure. Okay. Understood. See, there's no debating people like that. You just go, yeah, all right. Because they're not, those are guys you don't convince. Those are guys you just go, sure. Let's see. Week 13. Look at this stretch. Wait, I'm going to go over it when we're done here. Look at this one here. So week 13, the following week with 49ers. The NFC Championship repeat game here, the revenge game. And it's at home at Lincoln Financial. Oh, man. Jesus, gravity. 11, 12, 13. Then you get the Cowboys in week 14. In Arlington. Oh, man. And then when you're all good and beat up, December 17th, week 15, you got to fly 3,800 miles to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. When you're all good and beat up. Whew. Look at this stretch games. Week 6, Jets. 7, Dolphins. 9, Cowboys. Then listen to this from week 9 on. Week 9, Cowboys. Chiefs, week 11. Bills, week 12. 49ers, week 13. Cowboys, week 14. Seahawks, week 15. Oh, man. 11, 12, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. How you doing? And you guys think you're going 14 wins this year? Not a chance. I'll bet people $100 you ain't winning 14 games this year. Tops, you'll win 12. Tops. And I did actually pick you to win 12 games. I got 12-5. You ain't winning no 14 games with that. Huss, if you come out of that if you come out of this stretch with Cowboys, Chiefs, Bills, Niners, Cowboys, and Seahawks, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you come out of that 4-2, that would be a massive win. It'd be a massive win. 3-3 would be okay too. Some really great teams there. We'll see. I'll show you. Rashad Penny will have 200 carries. Okay. Here. Hey, Tom, we should come up with a list here. Rashad Penny will have 200 carries and 1,100 yards. That's one of them. What's the other one? Jalen goes for 4K and 35 touchdowns. That's another one. Oh, man. Okay. It's all good, man. It's all good. Penny will have 200 stitches before he has 200 carries. Oh, man. Oh, goodness me. All right. I gotta take a towel off timeout here because of all the great takes today. The best one of the day was Dalvin Cook is out of gas. Yeah. Okay. See, I'm cooling off because of some of your takes today. Yeah, they've been right on par, man. Oh, you seeing this? CBS report that Arizona tampering with Gannon could have prevented. That's old news, but yes, I know that. I saw that. Yeah, and I believe Fangio is now down in Miami. And get this. There's actually people, and I won't name any names, that think that Jonathan Gannon was 100% focused on the Super Bowl. When now you have two teams that have been affected by his tampering, the Eagles and Dolphins. You're probably right. He wasn't cutting side. So can you imagine this? Wait, here, get this. So as Gannon's putting the defensive game plan together for the Eagles versus the Chiefs. Yeah. Hey, Michael Bidwell, thank you. Yeah, sure. Hang on for a second. Let me put this down. You want to have lunch where? At the Marriott downtown. Now, let's not do the Marriott because that's a place that caught Irvin, doing whatever. Yeah, I know. Well, I don't want to be involved in that. So can we go to the Hotel 6? Yeah. Yeah. Bring your towel place. Yes. Yeah. Bring your towel place. Yeah. Uh-huh. Well, I gotta get this game planning because we got a team meeting coming up here in about 20 minutes. And I got to get my game plan into to Nick. Yeah, because then we're all going to go over it. But probably right after that, I'll meet you for drinks. Yeah, I get away because we'll have a team meeting, and then after I could probably sneak out and come see you. Coaching staff? Yeah, we'll talk about it. Okay, bye. Where was I? Oh, yeah, Andy Reid. So you don't think that went on like that? Okay. What a man, I hate that guy. He was a fraud from day one. I never believed him. I never will believe him. No, I'm not going to root for anything. No, it's not cool. Dude, when you have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, I would lock myself in a room and I would just sit there all day long like Jalen or Belichick or any of those guys like Brady. And I wouldn't care. Brady sends his family away for big games so he can focus because he doesn't want any bullshit about taking the dog out, about feeding the kids. He sends them away, his family. He sends them out of the house. And Jonathan Gannon's cutting deals while he's preparing for the Super Bowl. Everyone else does it. Everyone else does it? No, they don't. You think Tom Brady or Jalen Hurts or Bill Belichick does that? Hit the timeout, or we're going to take a timeout, hit the like button, keep it here on the National Football Show.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wild wood days.
and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, Birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
EAGLES, Eagles.
So Messi has now quadrupled the ticket sales for MLS Miami. He's 35. There's an out-of-gas guy. Again, not to talk soccer here, because I'm not. Business, relevancy. This is a prime example of not getting it. So if you know that guy at 35 could quadruple your ticket sales, why wouldn't you at 25 offer him everything he needed to get to play in America and offer him $100 million or whatever it took to get him here? When you know he has that impact on his back nine of his career, why wouldn't you have done that? It's just the MLS guys are the dumbest people on the planet, along with the NHL guys. People who you don't take enough risk. You just don't take enough risk. You're afraid to compete again, unless you have some sort of like backroom deal like Live and PGA here. I don't know. Maybe you do. But you'll always be considered the minor leagues. You're the minor leagues because you think like minor league sports. I swear to you, in my entire life covering sports, which has been 30 years, I've never covered an MLS game. And I used to pretend that I was a World Cup fan. And I kind of am because, I kind of watch it because it's a huge event and people talk about it. But I don't lie to you and pretend that I know what's going on. Because at the end of the day, I don't root for shit outside of America like that. I don't care. We're NC State in the world of soccer. So why would I root for 15th? I don't. Hey, maybe we'll get to the second round. I'm not rooting for that. I'm not interested in that. I have no interest in rooting for losers. The American men's soccer program is a train wreck. Why would I root for it? Why would I pray for it? There's nothing to it. It sucks. At 25, Messi was at Barcelona. No chance. Anton, if we've learned anything about live golf in the PGA, anything's possible. Anything's possible. If the Live Golf could turn around and buy the PGA Tour for $25 billion, anything's possible. Anything. Okay? Anything's possible. Anything. You watch soccer? No, I do not. I watch rugby. I love rugby. Watch soccer. Hey, you wear shorts and you can't use your hands? No chance. Hey, no, hey, you wear shorts and you can't use your hands? Not a chance I'm watching that thing. No way. No how. No way. Nor do I care. And by the way, all the soccer hater guys, man, they jump on my shit all the time. It's the dumbest sport on the planet. So, well, you're saying it because I'm American. You're damn right. I don't root for shit outside my country. I love American football. I love baseball. I love basketball. I love all those sports. I love wrestling. Okay? I love rugby. Okay? I mean, my daughter plays it. I like all those things. I don't watch soccer. I don't give a shit what we do. Now, I like that our chicks are number one. I probably watch more women's soccer Now, and for the record, hey, Tone, do you know what I'm circling this year? Do you know what I'm circling this year on my calendar? LSU versus Iowa women's basketball. I first time I've ever said that on the air. I'm circling Iowa versus LSU basketball. Women. Shit talking, trash talking, two great players. Just played in a national championship game. They got thunder ratings. I'm in. I'm watching that. Dude, you know, the one chick started talking shit to Clark. She's like, she has every right to. She won. I'm like, that is so good for the sport. Instead of turning it into race baiting. Because she kept going like, remember, she kept going like this. She kept going like that. And everyone's like, show some class. Even Dave Portnoy from Barstool called her no class. The girl from LSU. I loved it. Dude, I loved it. Okay? Totally loved it, man. He called her a piece of shit. Why? So when a guy does that, it's called gamesmanship. But when a chick does that, she's a piece of shit? No way. Never in a million years. I thought that was great for the sport. Look, you got me watching it. How could that be horrible? How could that be horrible? When you now have me appointment setting a game this coming fall. When a guy does it, it's called swagger. Absolutely, man. Hey, when I saw her doing that in the title game, I actually watched it. I was like, that is so wonderful. Good for her, man. She's going to get killed for this. But so what? And then when the white chick didn't turn it into some sort of stupid ass shit where our country today wants to turn everything into race, they had nowhere to go with it. The girl from Iowa helped. And the LSU star also. It's all good, man. That was, dude, that had me. I don't think I've ever watched a WNBA game because I don't really care because it's minor league too. But I will watch that LSU Iowa game. I'm all over that, man. Good for them. Absolutely great. Real quick here too. Anton goes, NFL, NBA, AFL. Australian rules is fun. That Australian rules is really a fun. My wife and I used to watch that all the time. Premier League top four. Hey, dude, at least you're watching the best players in the world in the Premier League. Okay? Yeah, I love Clark answer. It definitely put water on the fire. And Clark gained a fan in me. Keon. Yeah, of course you call a black chick a piece of shit. Dude, shut the fuck up. Ever do that? Crazy. See, that's the kind of stuff you do, I guess, just to get a rise out of because you got a rise out of me. Don't ever call a black woman or any woman a piece of shit that's doing something in a sporting event. What's wrong with you? Crazy. It's sports. Man, hey, there's a lot of things in the world people would be called a piece of shit for. That ain't one of them. Ugh. I guess and also, if you want women's sports to be looked on in the same light as men's sports, you got to cover them the same way you cover men's sports. I've told you this before. When a guy like Ben Simmons doesn't play because of mental issues and Simone Biles bails out of the Olympics, you have to go with the good and the bad in that. You know, with the rain, sometimes you got to deal with the mud too. Equalizer, right, Tone? Right, Tone? See? Showed you, man. I'm watching the Equalizer. There's the Equalizer line right there. Sometimes when you wish for rain, man, you got to deal with the mud. Man, I love those movies, man. Sometimes you got to deal with the mud. Oh, man. I think we're going to get a special guest on tomorrow. I was going to go for Snoop Jackson and do a little more NBA, but Big Joe said that we're going to put this guy on. we're going to put on Philly Godfather. I think we're going to try to roll into Philly Godfather tomorrow and try to get him on because I think he's done something that has upset a lot of people in Philadelphia. So I think we're going to go down that route, and I think we're going to try to get Philly Godfather on tomorrow and work him on for our Friday show. Guys, I appreciate you guys coming aboard. Thank you so much as always, man. Hey, by the way, air quality now going on. I hope everybody's cool, and I hope everybody's safe. Make sure you take care of yourself because my aunt's been telling me too. It's been brutal up there too. So please, everybody, be safe. We love you guys, man. Thank you. Big Joe, Xander, thank you. Tone. Tone, I tell you what, man, of all the producers I've had in the last 10 years, I'm having a lot of fun with you, man. Just really a lot of fun. Hey, you keep hanging out with Sills though, man. Remember, you're gonna start. Okay, you're gonna start saying shit now, and people are gonna start getting on you, going, "Watch out, watch out." Tone, love you, man. Thank you so much, man. Tomorrow, 3 to 6, and we'll catch you on the flip side.